Did she get pretty tipsy last night? Did she?
There we go. We live, and
What the hell was that?
we already have limited monetization.
Oh wow. Well, that's a bummer.
That's all right. It just means we have the better ads.
Right.
We got the ones everyone wants to see.
Yeah,
See.
for the most part, they're at least entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are a little too freaking long, but all right, we're in there. Who's got maybe I should be nice to bring up the freaking chat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, nobody's here yet. I got the chat up.
Yeah, no
Oh,
one's
wait,
here
there's
yet.
two. There's two. But that could be us.
Right? Because I have the YouTube page up. So
Hey, Eric.
ha.
Oh, look, we're live.
We're live.
All right, let me kill that audio. Eric Reyes, hello,
Honey,
buddy.
it's Reyes.
Reyes. Okay, sorry.
That's Mark's brother. That's Mark's brother, daughter.
Oh man, feel sorry for you.
Okay.
Oh,
Good, Eric. How are you? Mark.
Waiting for more people. They're slowly coming in. There's 8. They're slowly coming.
It takes a while, you know.
Yeah. Because YouTube's slow with notifications.
Ish.
And you know, it's weird because like some people get it way before others, and then some won't get it for an hour. You know,
There's been a few times that Mr. Jimmy C and Friends has gotten in trouble because I'll text him and be like, I'm on my way home. And like immediately after, I'll get a Jimmy C and Friends are live. And I'm like, really? Really? I text you and tell you I'm on my way home and you're live? And he'll be like, that was like an hour before you texted me.
Well, you know.
Hello, Mrs. Redneck. Susan, how are you? Ron, Donna.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Dreams, Ace, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid. I greatly appreciate it.
Hello, Max.
Hello, Max. Beautiful Max. How are you doing?
Nero Trigger, what's up?
Nero, where have you been, bro?
It's been a long time since I saw Nero.
I know.
Man, I ain't even seen him
Joseph
gaming in a while.
Grohl. Woo.
Woo, Joseph. Hello, Kirsty. Dream.
Hello, Kirsty.
Donna. Ron. Susan. Ken. Coming
Whoever
in.
gaming, hello, gaming with Macro.
Hello,
Oh.
DJ Viper with a $5 on a Mrs.
Thank you. That is Elton. Thank you, DJ
So
Viper.
can I follow Thirsty Thursday rules and say dilly dilly?
Yeah, well, go for it.
Yeah.
Dilly
Drink up. Go ahead, drink up. I've been
Hello.
pooping every day.
Hello, Willie. Welcome, Willie.
Well, dang, Nero, I ain't got no bell. Freaking, you know.
Welcome to the stream,
Phone
Willie.
was stuck on stupid.
I'll go click and I'll go check and make sure it's still clicked. Oh, see, they unclicked the bell, dude.
Hello,
It's
Joseph.
fixed now. They kept me subbed. They just unclicked the bell. That would be why I get no notification.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Raiders.
Dave Lassen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. We love you all.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you for coming over.
All right. So, everybody, I think you could tell from the thumbnail and the title, tonight is part 2 of the Tiger King. Tonight, we're going to discuss the Netflix documentary. So, I'm trying to figure out how to play a clip. of Joe Exotic's Cal Bassett song. Huh, you just got it. Dirty, dirty. What's up, dirty?
Dirty
Yo,
operations. Hey.
what's up, Dave? Dirty. Good to
Mm.
see you.
Um,
Right? I agree, Nero. I agree, man. Freaking, that's fucked
Cool
up.
beans, Susan. Cool beans.
I'll admit I don't go over there all the time, but I always cruise by if you're gaming and I'm sitting in front of you. You know, I don't always say
Hi,
hello,
Max.
but I go by.
so where do we want to begin?
Where do you want to begin?
Bassett, do you want to start?
Do you remember where you left off last week?
Yeah,
Well,
last week it was just talking to everybody about to see what everybody knew, how much everybody knew of Joe Exotic, the Tiger King.
Toy Man,
Um,
Ken, what's up? Need more likes. You got
Hit
that?
the likes button.
She needs more subs too, man.
So that's where we left off. So this we're gonna start the beginning of the Netflix documentary. So do one of you fine ladies want to join? Because Jimmy could care less. Jimmy's here for technical support.
Yeah, that's all.
It's really
So-
good, Matt. Really good.
basically, Joe started a zoo in Oklahoma. He's supposed to start it with his brother, and his brother died before he was able to do that. So he started it like in a memory of his brother. And the whole tiger exotic animal world is a really interesting world. There's some very interesting characters in that world, and the Netflix series did a great job of kind of exposing everyone to those people.
Right.
Yes, I was going to say the people were as exotic as the animals were.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think this is one Netflix documentary that didn't, because sometimes Netflix has a habit of painting a bigger portrait for one person than they do the other. And I think this time they covered everybody, and they were, for the most part, fair to everybody involved.
Hello, Dreams. Thank you. And Max, yes, it is very good. It sucks you in.
Mhm.
I started watching it because everybody was talking about it. And I kept saying, I'm not watching it. I'm absolutely not. It sounds stupid. I'm not watching it. And I watched one episode and I spent my whole weekend off binging it.
Right, I did too. And that, and everybody, the documentary, like I said last week, it covers everything. Like
Mhm.
there is everything in this movie, in the documentary. I mean, there is sex, there is drugs, there is guns, there's even the freaking man that literally is like a real life Tony Montana, Scarface.
Yep.
He's missing is the star. It's insane. There's like polygamous, not polygamous. Joe himself is gay with 2-3 husbands. Like it's just insane, and that's what draws you in. The first 15 minutes is boring. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. If you can make it past the first 15 minutes of the documentary, you're in. They got you. I'm not gonna lie, they got you.
And what I
The
found,
way-
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Bashful.
what got me with the first 15 minutes is because, like, I'm an animal lover, I guess. I don't really want animals, but I love to look at animals. So just looking at the tigers, because there's pretty tigers on that
Mhm.
show. So that's what kind of drew me in at first was the animals. And then the storyline behind that, like, then you get intrigued with it. 'Cause
Joseph, we're not talking
It's-
about wrestling. I said it. I said it. Woo! No wrestling. It's all about the Lion King. The Tiger King. Not
Tiger
the Lion
King,
King, the movie.
Lion King, Tiger King. Lions and tigers and bears are mine. They have them all too. Yeah, so like Basil said, it starts off the documentary as you being introduced to Joe Exotic, to I call him King because I can't pronounce his first fucking name. He has the biggest um, exotic zoo out of everybody in the documentary. Then there is Jeff in there. Jeff comes in later on. Um, then there's the living wife Chucky doll, the fucking Bruce.
Mhm.
Bruce, right? Um, there's the what was the guy that I can't never remember his name. The guy that was doing the documentary.
Shit. He was just on the last episode that they interviewed. He used to work for Dateline, I think, or Nightline, something like that. He
Mhm.
was he would go on scene and
Right, and he was very devilish. Like he would do, but he threw himself
yeah,
through a window. He set himself on fire.
and he has like brown teeth.
Right,
Can't help
too
but
much
stare
coffee.
at his teeth.
Too much coffee and cigarettes. Um, let's see who else is in there. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Who's the other? What's the other guy with the monkey that went into partner with Jeff?
What's up, Anthony? Royals,
Oh, I
Hello,
forget
Mrs.
his
Hopkins.
name.
squirrels.
Hello,
Hey,
Squirrel.
hey, Martha.
So
So let's start in the beginning. So in the beginning, there's just Joe sitting on the couch with his tigers and one of his husbands, and he's petting the tigers, and he gets a little bit into Carol Bassett, not too much. They show all the big players into this exotic animal world, and then they go back to Joe, and Joe starts explaining his upbringing, um, and how he kind of always knew he was gay, but wasn't because of his upbringing and his parents. He wasn't allowed to show it or say anything about it. And he got his love for the animals, I believe, from his dad. Um, and then when he moved out, the animals just got bigger. Um, Joe said when he finally told his dad that he was gay, his dad made him stand in front of his mother, grabbed his hand, and looked his son in the face and said, "Don't ever come to my funeral."
that's what got me when he was like, he made me shake his hand and promised never to go to his funeral.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
So,
bad.
and Joe doesn't really talk much about what he did in his past himself.
Yep.
Joe did have a rough life. Before he opened the zoo, Joe lived in his car for quite a long time. And then him and his brother got together and they decided that they were going to start this zoo. And I believe his brother was driving his mother home or something to that effect and got in a car wreck with a drunk driver. And Joe's brother was murdered. They also don't really go into too much of Joe's brother's life, but you can
Yeah,
tell
no,
when
they
Joe
don't.
starts talking about his brother that his brother had an addiction problem himself. Joe doesn't really say too much what it was. And it's not really clear if his brother was the one under the influence in driving
Right, because they never
or the
say.
other driver was under the influence of driving. But I took, and I could be very wrong, but my impression was, by the way Joe talked about it, I believe wholeheartedly that it was his brother. Because Joe took on the addiction and he took it on very seriously. Because before Joe opened the zoo, they drove around with these tigers and they did magic shows and with the animals, and then they were in malls. And during part of this magic show, Joe talked about addiction and the effect that it has on family, and it was all dedicated to his brother.
Right, because he used the animals to
Right.
keep people's attention.
Right, Right. So
Or
in my mind, I think his brother was the cause of that accident, and his brother was the one with the addiction, even though he never came out and said it. Um, and later on, as we go into the documentaries, you start to see a pattern with Joe's husbands, and that's also why I think, and even his employees, why
Yep.
I think his brother died from.
Right, because he always employed the either people that had been in prison or ex-alcoholics or
Mhm,
ex-drug
mhm,
abusers. He gave them a place to live,
right.
would feed them.
Mhm,
But
yeah.
yeah,
And even Joe's husbands, they all had drug addictions.
the one thing that like I always wondered is with the husbands, he fed the addiction.
Right.
Like he would keep them with
And
drugs
I
and
think part of that is because I think he felt like he let his brother down. I think he put his foot down with his brother, and because of how religious the parents were, they wasn't going to encourage or help the addiction. So I think Joe's mind, if he would have did more for his brother or would have gave in to his brother more, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Because I
right,
think there's more to why he was on the road with the mother than Joe told. You know what I
right.
mean? Um, so I feel like that's why he fed the husband because he felt like if he did, he'll lose them.
Maybe.
You know, but there's also we'll get into that because we're skipping. But um, who knows? You know what I mean? But in the beginning of the documentary, you see Joe's big heart, and this is why I like Joe so much. I don't think he's completely innocent. I'm gonna put this out there now. But in the beginning of the documentary, you see Joe's true colors, his heart, um, how much he truly did love the animals
Right. He
and
did truly want the best for the animals in the
animals in the
beginning.
beginning he did, and just how much he cared about everybody that worked for him, and not just him, not just his employees, but the community, because Joe did do a lot for that community, especially around the holidays. Um, so that's what touched me with Joe very much. And for me, because I have friends like Dustin, a member of the roundtable, I have gay friends back home. They all experienced what Joe experienced coming out being gay to to their family, and it does something to them. You know what I mean? So I felt for him. You know.
Yeah.
Hello, Josie. Hello, Vanessa. Hello, everyone. Seth, anyone else I may have missed in chat. And for all of you that are unaware, the roundtable does have their membership, their join button. So Josie and Vanessa, they have the green marks by their name because they are our first two members for the roundtable.
oh, thank
Ooh.
you.
Okay.
Yay.
Hi,
Um,
Ron.
hi Ron. Okay, so Basil, is there
Hello.
anything you want to add to the beginning?
Well, I was just while you was talking, I was just looking to see if I could find how the accident happened or anything like that. I just read a couple short little articles, and from those articles, it said he got hit by a drunk driver, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't also. And the other thing is he got Joe got an actual settlement from the accident, and that's how he
Oh.
started his. That's how he started things. He used
Mm-hmm.
that settlement to buy the 16-acre. Was a horse farm,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where he started um, his zoo in Oklahoma. I was trying to remember too if there was anybody that comes in the chat often that's in Oklahoma.
Right. I
But
don't.
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Um, but other than that, no, I think
Speaking of
that's
my Dustin, there he is, my sexy brother.
pretty much the rundown on Joe's starting the.
We have a new member, Basil.
We have a new
Redneck,
member.
Mrs. Redneck Connection
Oh,
is now a member of the round table.
oh,
Thank you
thank you,
very much
Mrs.
for your
Redneck.
Thank you. I don't know. Pastor, do you get the feeling like me and Susan, like his brother? I truly do think his brother's an addict or something because you don't take on that cause as strongly as Joe did if just because your brother got hit.
Right. Because he
I don't know.
does.
There's a lot of people that do that though. If you like, I remember being in high school and stuff and having like family members come to school who, their family member got hit by a drunk driver and they come to talk to us about, drinking and driving and stuff like that. So some people do use that as a way to like work through their grief,
Right.
to try to help
Well, I
prevent
think
it, stuff like that.
He
So
even just not like talking about, but like he's passionate about helping people with addiction, like bringing them on and working. And I don't know. I think there's more to that. I think there's underlining. And
It could be.
I don't. Mm.
And I know that he had a running YouTube channel before
Right.
the docuseries.
Right.
And before I watched the Tiger King, I went and watched some of his YouTube videos.
Right. He also had a podcast.
Yep.
I can't find the podcast. They must have took it down. Okay, good, Max. Max, next Friday we're talking about what happened after the documentary is done. And they just put up a new clip, a new video, whatever you want to call it, episode of the Tiger King, episode 8. And that recaps everything you talked to. And in that one, I have to watch because they talk a lot of people that are in that episode talk about what happened.
They interview some of the
after.
supporting people
Right.
that were involved with the zoo and knew Joe and Joe's story the best.
Mm-hmm.
They also talk about the dude that took the zoo from him.
Right. Okay.
But
yeah, the podcast was Joe Exotic TV.
Right.
That was the
I
name
don't think
of
it's
the
still
podcast.
up anymore because I looked it up and I couldn't find it. So I don't.
Well, I think a lot of that footage too is what got burned in the alligator house.
Right. All right. So
spoiler alert. Sorry.
Spoiler alert. All right. So now we're past the introduction of Joe in the Netflix series. Who was next? It was King, right?
I think so.
Basher, was it King they talked about next?
You mean the Doc?
Yeah, Doc. That's what I mean.
Like
Doc.
the elephant. I think of him as the elephant guy because he would ride an elephant.
Is Doc Antle is his name.
Antle.
His first name,
I can't say it.
It means Lord or something like that. So I would never call him
something weird.
Yeah. So is Doc Antle is the.
Yeah, Max's Alligator House. They own exotic animals, so every animal they own on their farms is exotic. So I can't wait to get into Carole Bassett. That's the topic. Okay, go on. Sorry, Bassett. So next was
Antle is like he's kind of like the one that a lot of the other people in that community kind of learned from. Like Lisa said, he had the biggest farm. His animals were used in movies like Dr. Dolittle, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. So he was very well known in Hollywood for his animals.
And in my opinion, his animals were the best treated. That's just my opinion.
Probably. He's based in. He's in California.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm about to cry. We got 2 new members. Thank you, Ron RC Toyman, thank you. And
Thank
Max is
you.
a new member
And
of the roundtable. Thank you,
who was the last one?
Max.
Oh, thank you, Max.
Okay, she
Um,
can continue that.
so I think that's where Joe like started getting some of his early animals because Doc Antle sold a lot of animals to other. He sold them to private individuals. He sold them to other zoos. That was part of his business. Was he would keep the animals long enough while they were babies and they were safe for people to handle, so that they could come out and pay to hold tigers because people pay a lot of money to do that. It's like they're paying over $300 a person to go in there for a couple hours and just wander around the zoos and be able to interact with the cubs and stuff like that. And when they get to a certain point, they're not very old whenever, I think it's like maybe 10 weeks, maybe around there. Then they're too old to be, handled by, the average human at that point. So for Doc Antle, they're no good anymore. So he sells them, a lot of them off. And I think that's where Joe got a lot of his animals at first.
Yes, it is where Joe got his animals. And thank you. We have another 2 new members, Joe Man and Doris.
Oh, thank you, Joe Man and Doris.
Thank you very much. Hello, Nikki C.
Hello, Nikki C.
So, and also, Doc, try not to cry. Hello. Doc got his love for these exotic animals and big animals because of his dad and his grandfather. So, and my personal feelings about Doc is this: I wouldn't say he's the better out of all of the exotic people in this, but I think that he has the best property. I think his animals truly do have more freedoms than the rest of the zoos. I think his property is just beautiful. It almost looks like their natural habitat. You know what I mean? Almost. It's not, but almost. And I think with Doc, he was raised to love these animals and to treat these animals the way that he does.
Well,
I think it's different for him in a way than it is for like Joe.
And I think some of that is the recurring money from the movies that his animals were in.
Mm-hmm. And he said he always tells them when they start, because everyone that started their exotic farm, they all went to him. Like Joe will tell you time and time again, he learned everything from him, and he tried to copy him. And they all knew they wasn't going to be bigger than him, but that's what they learned. That's who they looked up to was Doc. And he told them straight up, don't come into this thinking it's like raising regular cats and dogs, because it takes a village and millions of dollars to take care of these cats. You're not just, he told them all, hello, mascot. Hello, Kenneth. Thank you for joining us. And he has the prettier tigers. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm. Plus, he rides an elephant.
Yeah, he rides that elephant that he. And it kills me because
but he's a male chauvinist.
He is a male chauvinist pig, and he does have.
I want to punch him.
He is. He definitely
does have like 10 wives that he calls his partners.
Right.
And they each have their own house.
Right. We're not getting to the personality of them yet, because we didn't even do Joe's yet.
I'm sorry.
I know I know Bashful. I knew she was waiting to scream that out.
Hey, Kenneth.
We're talking in the sense of the animals right now, Bashful. He is an asshole.
Okay. Well, I mean, we got to say Antle really is.
He is. He is. We were talking about the pretty cats. We wasn't.
Okay, we'll talk about the pretty cats.
We were gonna
But-
get to their personality. Oh,
Some
Okay.
of their cats are beautiful, though. All
yes.
of them.
I like Joe's cats, and I'm a huge Joe fan. But Doc, he has the prettier animals. He does. And you
Yeah.
can tell he puts more time, and you could just tell when you watch Doc. Oh my God, Dustin! Dustin said, "I ride dicks, you ride elephants. We ain't the same, boo." Oh my God, Dustin! Why do you have to be with your mom right now? You wanna be with
Oh.
Okay, so then we go from Doc. They go to Tony Montana. They go
Tony
to Scarface.
Montana.
I can't remember his real name because once they put Scarface on him, that's all I fucking saw. What was his name? Becky?
Trying to remember
All right,
where I
let's
just
see.
saw that.
Hot Rod, hello. Speaking of Tony Montana and Scarface, Joe Man is my John Gotti. That's my John Gotti. I've called Joe Man from day one. My
So
John Gotti.
his real name was Mario Tabru.
Yeah, there we go. He's a real Cuban. And ladies and gentlemen, when we tell you he is Scarface, he is the real fucking Scarface. Like, the only difference is there wasn't 3 fat men walking in the bank with him with all that
Mhm.
money. He took the van. He delivered the money by suitcases himself. His father and him ran this huge drug enterprise. They literally chopped the FBI agent up with a fucking saw.
Which
they-
he talks about and then
Yeah,
just
which he
says,
talks
I
about,
didn't
yeah.
have any participation in it.
Right. So he went down for this, and he came back. And even before he went down for this, he worked for an exotic animal place where they sold animals. And he owned exotic animals because he grew up in a home. And most Cuban homes are like this because of where they come from. It's like this in the Dominican Republic too. Cats and dogs are not in your home. You do not bring
Mhm.
them in your home. They're outside.
Yep.
So even though he was here in America, his mother still carried them beliefs. They were not allowed to have pets. So when he moved out, the first thing he bought was 3 huge, what were them dogs named? The big ones.
The
Great Danes.
Great Danes.
Great
Yeah, they
Danes.
bought
He did
Great
just buy
Danes, yeah.
one. He bought 3. And then he bought a monkey. And then he started going in with tigers.
And then his wife got obsessed with monkeys.
And she took care. And these monkeys are dressed and has a whole room.
Yeah,
These
she
mon- I
buys
love-
doll outfits for them.
Yes, he goes to like Babies R Us and stuff and gets them Easter outfits and Christmas. Like their closet is bigger than all 3 of my children, and it's from top to bottom of this walk-in closet what these monkeys have. Like
Hot Rod, she was not.
what?
He just said, Jimmy, did you tell Lisa
Yes,
Carol
yes,
Baskin was in your
yes,
chat?
yes, he was. The Carol Basket. If she walks into this show, Hot Rod, I'm gonna be so proud. But anyways, yes, she was in Jimmy's stream last night. Bye, Max. Thank you. All right.
Bye,
so,
Max. Good night.
So, well, I'm gonna keep calling him Scarface. Him and his dad got busted in one of the biggest drug rings. They served their time. He appealed and won. He talks openly about all this, and when they ask him why he just didn't tell the truth, he said, because I was there. I was there when they chopped up the federal agent. I was there. I knew about it all. And he said, I may have not have partaken in cutting him up, but I was there. They got rid of him on my property. I watched it happen. So what am I going to say to the judge? I didn't personally do it, but I watched it. He said, I'm just as guilty. And what am I going to be a rat? No. So, therefore.
Right, he served like 20 years, I think.
Right. And
Or
I
something
believe
like
Yeah.
that.
And I believe his dad died in prison.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dustin.
And they
Um,
said it took like, I think they said it took like a week or something just to get a meeting with this guy,
mhm,
the producers of the show,
mhm. And they had to go to Doc
to
and they
get
had Doc talk to him.
set up the meeting. Yep.
Because Doc and Scarface are like this.
Right. And Scarface apparently bought some of his tigers from Joe,
Hmm.
which is what connected him to Joe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he too, his isn't a, now Scarface doesn't have a zoo. It's not open for the public.
Right.
He
It's his own
owns-
private collection.
He owns
Yeah.
these animals for a private collection. Now, once we get to one of the other main people in this, you see why all these people are in this big pool, and it's all because of one woman. Scarface does not have an exotic farm at an animal zoo at all. He just owns them because he wants to own them. Next is the guy that Jeff went into partners with when he took over Joe's farm.
Oh, what was his name?
I wrote down the names and my son spelled juice in my notebook. So there went my notes. Oh my God. My pet is just not pet. It is family.
Was
That's
that-
what he said.
It wasn't.
Let's see.
Oh wait, no. Next was Carol Bassett because then they go into how this dude got involved, but we need his name anyway. Bassett, you may want to take off with the Carol Bassett when we get there because I may venture off like you did about Doc being a chauvinist fucking douchebag. Yeah.
So was he the James Garrettson guy? No, right?
No, James Garrett is the walking, talking
The
Chucky
Chucky
doll.
doll.
So, well, she's looking up that. We'll go ahead and do Carol since Carol was the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So Carol Basket owns an animal sanctuary. And what she does is when people decide to go buy a tiger or an exotic animal and they realize they can't take care of this animal, she rescues the animals. And she also rescues animals from zoos and things that are found to be mistreating their animals. So she's a sanctuary. She doesn't breed the animals. She, however, does profit off of having these exotic animals because she allows people to come to her park and see the animals, interact with the animals, and she started giving Joe and Doc Antle and all these other zoos, these small zoos, issues because she said that they shouldn't be allowed to profit off of them, even though she profits off of them.
Yes.
But
Now, what Bassel forgot is that her husband and her originally started just owning tigers. Her husband was a millionaire, and he started buying cats, the tigers, or whatever. Now, in the beginning, I have to throw this in because she's a fucking hypocrite. They were profiting off the cubs because they were breeding them.
They were breeding them. They were doing the petting of the cubs.
Right. In the beginning, it wasn't a sanctuary. I just wanted to throw that out there. because I don't want a fucking halo over this bitch's head. And yes, Dustin, I have to agree with you. Fuck Carol Bassett. Okay, continue, Bashel.
Well, and also like she was, you know, a married woman fighting with her husband, walking down the street, and this millionaire saw her walking down the street and pulled over, and they started talking. And she tells this story about him showing her a gun and telling her that she could point the gun at him and, you know, keep it on him the whole time they're driving around. He just needed someone to talk to. And by the end of the night, they go to the hotel and sleep together. And then he leaves his wife and his family for her. And they start this, you know, collecting these exotic animals and started their little park. And like Lisa said, they were definitely profiting off of having these animals.
Yes.
She just to go along with what the documentary says, she says that that part of it was her husband's idol. That's what he wanted. He wanted to profit off of it. She didn't really want to breed the animals or whatever. So, her and her husband get to a point where they're no longer like really getting along. There's rumors that, you know, he's going to move off and leave her, and rumors that he had another girlfriend, and all of a sudden he disappears.
Well, he got a restraining order
Yeah, he did get a
and
restraining
said
order
that
against
she
her.
kept threatening to kill him.
Yeah.
And then that's when he disappeared, was when the restraining order was denied.
Right. And in the documentary, they talked to his attorney, who'd been his attorney for years and years and years. And they have his ex-wife and his daughters there. They have
His assistant.
business partners. Yeah, but his assistant. And listening to those people speak, it definitely sounded like he was concerned about what she was going to do to him.
I thought the most suspicious thing was when they said suddenly his life insurance and his will got changed from upon my death to upon my disappearance or my death, all of my wealth should go to Karen. Or Carol, sorry. And he left like 10% or something to his kids. And the lawyer had said that in his like 30 years, he had never seen wording like that in a will. I thought that was the most suspicious part.
Definitely, it's definitely coincidental that all of a sudden they go change the will and they add that little stipulation in there. That was, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. She had to wait 5 years before she got the money.
And I believe she waited 5 years to the day, because she had to wait 5 years to have him declared dead.
Right.
And she waited 5 years to the day to declare him dead.
Yeah. You started out with bobcats. I was trying to remember what it was that she started at her thing out with. She started out with bobcats.
Yeah, that was her obsession, was the bobcats.
Yeah.
And then the guy we were talking about was Tim Stark. So he became Jeff Lowe's partner when they bought out the zoo.
Okay.
But they covered him a little bit during the whole thing.
Right.
Because he had his own little zoo.
Right. The reason that Netflix picked up on this situation that went down is because you have I think we should go back to that just a little bit. You have Joe, who runs an exotic animal farm who is in a massive disagreement with the Carol Baskin. Like she's going to the trying to get bills passed so that he can't own these animals because they're endangered species. And you've got this crazy guy that makes YouTube videos and says crazy things. He runs for governor, he runs for president. He's a nutcase. And then all of a sudden there's these rumors and these stories going around that Joe tried to hire someone to kill Carol.
Yep.
And that's the reason Netflix picked up on this, and this became a series. And during our quarantine, it's like everybody and their brother is watching this.
And if you go back in history, both Carol and Joe have YouTube channels that they completely bash each other on.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about next week, is like some of the things that from those YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Right.
There's, like I listened to a video about from one of the juror members and things like that. And so there's a lot of other interesting information out there besides just the documentary. But
yeah, there is.
Yeah. So Carol's husband he's supposed to went to Puerto Rico, and he left, and nobody has ever seen him since. They found no bodies, and rumors started spreading around that Carol killed him and grinded him up and fed him to the tigers.
Right. And then she came up with an excuse that he had his own pilot's license, so he could fly his own plane.
Right.
To his girlfriend. And then his lawyer was interviewed and said that his planes were way too small to make it there without having to stop for a fuel up, because that was her excuse, that he always flew under the radar because he lost his pilot's license. So he couldn't record his flights of flying because he wasn't legally able to fly.
Right. But there's like the distance, they determined there was no way he could fly that distance without refueling and all that good stuff.
Right, because they were basically private
so her
planes.
excuse makes no sense.
Right. And then she says the last time she heard from him, he told her to have a van ready to go, that he was going to get more tigers or bobcats or something. And that's what he would use the excuse as when he went to Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or wherever it was.
Yes, Costa
Rica. Right. And they deemed that they thought he had a girlfriend over there.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then when she had him deemed dead, basically I think she basically fought the will and refused to even give the daughters 10%, like as Will stated. And she gave them like 5% or something, or threatened them and said that she could take it away from them because she didn't like the fact that they were doing interviews and talking against her, and she
based the exact words to them was, "You shut up," and she was like, "If you don't shut up, I'll take everything from you. You won't get nothing." That basically was.
She even threatened to take their house because at the time his daughters were young, so they still lived with the mother. And she basically told them that she would take everything away from the mother and them, and they would be homeless.
Right.
Because she basically owned all of the property.
Right.
which apparently including the house that they lived in.
hmm So, did we touch on the subject of how she broke into the trailer?
We did a little bit. We talked about how she changed the will. We
Mhm.
didn't say how she got the will.
Okay, so this is how she got the will. I have to. This bothers me. Um, so in around the time you meet Carol Bassett, you meet her husband at the time, the one we're talking about now. You meet basically his business manager, his accountant. Um, she controlled everything. She was what is that called? The words on the tip of my tongue.
Executive
She
assistant.
was an executive of his estate, his will.
Right.
his-
She was the everything once
Mhm.
he died.
Right.
She was the one that was supposed to run
Control
the whole
everything.
entire
And
thing.
spread out what people got, and she was in control of all that. Well, the alarm went off. They ran their business out of this trailer. You know what? The alarm went off, and because they clearly couldn't get a hold of her husband, Frank was his name, I believe.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get a hold of Frank, because no one could find Frank, they called her.
The
By the time
executive.
the executive. By the time she got to the trailer, the chain had been snipped with bolt cutters to get into the lot. She walked into the trailer, it was ransacked, and the will and every other important paperwork that was left in her possession was taken.
Which was in a box under her desk. So it
Mhm.
wasn't in a filing cabinet where most people would suspect important paperwork would be.
Mhm.
This woman kept it in a private box under her desk where only she knew where it was,
Right.
meaning
So
the
somebody,
executive
you're
assistant.
right. So somebody that was in and out of that office knew about it. Whatever, they
Right.
knew where it was.
And even the handyman that worked for the husband, he's the one that cut the stuff for her.
Mhm.
And he was like, when they interviewed him, he was like, what was I going to do?
Mhm.
Technically, I worked for this woman.
Right.
I didn't know what happened to
Mhm.
my boss.
Right. And then days later, after getting all that paperwork, everything was changed. She became the executive of everything. And they added to the will disappearance.
Yep. And
Who puts disappearance in a will, ladies and gentlemen? Who does
that's
that?
what I said. And the executive assistant said she knew the wording had changed because being the executor of the estate, she had to sign the paperwork. She was like, so I read it. I knew I was the executor. I knew everything that was in it.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, once he disappeared, she wasn't the executor anymore. The
Mhm.
wording changed.
Yep.
And the lawyer who drew up the original will didn't remember that wording being in there and said that he never knew. He never
In all his
heard.
years.
Right.
In
In
all his
25 years, he'd never heard of that wording being used in a life and will.
Bashel, would you like to add
Yes.
anything?
Nope.
Okay.
You're all doing good right now.
Bashful's like, nope, you two are going strong. Just keep it going.
Yeah, well, you all are talking about this. I'm trying to look at other things too, so that because
So at this point, so from the executive, that's when you meet the lawyer, Frank's lawyer,
Right.
and then you meet one of Frank's best friends. And by this time, you've already met the wife, the ex-wife, and the daughters of Frank. They all said the same thing, that Frank was petrified of Carol.
Right. And the woman, Ian, who was the executive assistant, was so involved in his everyday lifestyle. she's the one that got a copy of the restraining order that he took out against Carol.
And he had given her a piece of paper in an envelope weeks prior to him disappearing. And she never opened it. She didn't read it. She was told if anything was to happen to him, where to deliver it, what to do. So there was, he had talked to one of his closest friends about how he feared for his life with her. She had, by this time they start talking, Carol starts talking about how she thinks Frank had dementia, lose his memory. The best friend said he talked to him every day. The executor said she's with him every day, like Doris said, every day she was with him. She was a part of his everyday life. And like I said last week, there's two people in your life when you're that rich that knows everything.
Yep.
You're a lawyer.
Like his assistant knew when he was traveling. She would make all his arrangements. She knew when he would leave, when he would be back, like the exact minute to minute details, because she would set it all up.
Right. So they all said that, even his lawyer said that he was sharp. Like, he definitely was not losing his memory.
Nope.
He even told his ex-wife and his kids that he feared for his life for her. He was scared. He wrote, I'm not exactly sure how that all went, but he wrote and said she took his gun and hid his gun, but had hers. And another, he wrote down where it got physical. That's how it got to a restraining order.
Right.
So he went to get a restraining order. She had gotten physical with him. And
then she said she was going to kill him.
Right. And because, in the law standpoint, you look at her and him, and they're thinking, it was domestic, it was hearsay. So needless to say, he never got his restraining order.
And everybody that was close to him knew that he was planning on telling Carol that he wanted a divorce. And we all know, being angel or not, if you're married to a millionaire and you get a divorce, you're not getting anything.
Right.
Especially if, like, he had his millions before he married her.
Exactly.
So she wasn't going to get a dime.
Right. And his lawyer even said in the documentary, because Frank was getting ready to divorce her, he started protecting his assets.
Exactly.
Yeah, he started making plans for it.
He started making plans.
Hello, Nate's Outdoors.
Hello, Nate's Outdoor. Hello, everybody.
So Frank, the one that Lisa refers to as Frank, his name is actually Don. That's the husband.
Wait, isn't Don the first husband though?
The Don is the first husband. Frank, I think, is the second husband that she's currently married to.
Okay.
No, I thought Don was the one she ran away from.
I don't think so.
Let's see.
What I have is John Lewis was her second husband that disappeared. The first husband, I don't think they really covered too much in the Tiger King.
Other than the fact that she ran away from him. She was running away when she met. He was a real estate tycoon is what he was.
Dirty said Howard is the second husband.
No, Howard's the last husband.
Mm-hmm.
So Howard is the last. James Murdoch was her first husband.
Okay, Murdoch. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, third husband.
Oh, no. Yeah, because her daughter's name is Jamie.
Right. Okay.
And that was from her first marriage.
Yeah. Well, when Don died, she got like $5 million out of that, basically. is what she got. That's no chump change, especially back in 19. Well, she got it in 2002 is when she got it.
Right,
Right.
because it was 5 years after he disappeared.
To the day. Let's not forget that appointment.
Right.
5 years
To
to
the
the
day.
day.
And he disappeared in
He
97.
went and declared him officially dead. I want to throw that out. I really don't like this woman. So, yeah. More.
But yeah, and it seemed like she targeted people more that talked about her having to do with something with Dawn's death,
Mhm.
like Joe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
She
part. Woohoo!
right.
That
She
part.
really didn't go after the King guy
She
on the
did try going
elephant.
after King. King said, and even her third husband said they tried to go after him, but he is virtually untouchable. He is
Untouchable.
virtually untouchable because he is doing everything correctly. And he even said he is smart enough not to poke the bear.
Right. So
Right.
he
avoids
basically
Carol
stayed
at
out
all
of
costs.
it.
Right. He avoids Carol Basket at all costs.
Right. Right. Dirty operations. That was one of the rumors, was that
Mhm.
she grind up his body and fed it to the tigers.
Yep.
And there were actually some YouTube videos up that said the acid in a tiger's stomach can actually digest bone. So even if she didn't completely grind him up, they wouldn't find any pieces of him after the tiger. Like there wouldn't
Right.
be anything in the tiger poop or anything like that.
Right. But where they
Right.
messed up in the investigation was the van he supposedly was driving, which he was seen not driving, mind you. The van he was supposedly driving when he disappeared, they gave back to Carol. And then
And
went
then went
back
and
for
looked at it like 2 weeks later,
weeks
was it?
later. Right. So
Yeah.
it's been on their property the whole
I'll
time,
be
so
right
it
back.
should have been cleared. And Carol Basket's brother works for the same police department that was investigating her husband's disappearance. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, there was a lot of things wrong with that investigation.
Right.
They took too long to really
Mhm.
start an investigation.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, her brother was on the police department, and
And she
and
tried
because
lying. And she tried lying and
but
saying her and her brother didn't have a close relationship when there was 10 million pictures of them together smiling and doing a whole bunch of shit together. You know what I mean?
right,
So they
right.
clearly were a lot closer than she said. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Like I believe in the documentary they talked about how she was driving that van and met up with her brother and talked to him. So, you know, yeah, exactly, Dustin. Exactly. Conflict of interest. And anywhere else, they would have shut the arrest because he has a brother there, and he was higher up. He wasn't like a beat cop. Because of that, they would have given it to another department, another
Right.
you know what I mean, to run the investigation. But they didn't do that. What else? Um, and it wasn't long after her second husband's disappearance that she married the third. Just saying.
Yeah, I couldn't see exactly when she married Howard.
I'm just going by what everybody else was talking about in the
Yeah,
documentary. They were saying it wasn't long after her husband's disappearance that and her second
yeah. I
husband
remember them saying
lawyer
that. I was trying to figure out. I was trying to find where like
when
their
right
yeah,
because
but
her second husband's lawyer was like it wasn't long after his disappearance that she married this man. So let's see. She also said during this part that she thinks that he took a, because they owned a lot of private planes. And then maybe he got in the plane and flew off and got in an accident. And when she was questioned about that,
She liked the life she had, she loved her big cats and the beauty of being untamed.
Say when and I'll shut it off.
just so everybody knows, this is a song Joe Exotic did about Carol Bassett killing her husband.
Is this the Here Kitty Kitty one? You got to see this video, people.
Yes, you have to see it. I will link it in the description.
It's literally a woman that looks exactly like
Exactly
Carol
like Carol
Baskin
Bassett.
feeding strips of meat to the tigers that are supposed to be her husband.
Yes. I will link it to this video too. I linked it to the video to our live stream last week. This is one of my favorite fucking videos Joe did. I fucking love Joe. I can't help it. If you didn't know, that's not his. Yeah, we know Dirty. We know it's not his real voice. Oh shit! Hello, Anthony.
They actually talk about that in the documentary, Dirty.
Right. Yeah.
They say whose voice it really is.
Right. So he does have a good voice though, because in the document, this isn't his voice, but he does have an okay voice because in the document
he sings at one of the events, doesn't he?
He sings at his husband's funeral. So anyways, back to Carol, where we are. She tried to say that he could have disappeared on one of their private planes, and then she later said he didn't have his pilot license, and that he had gotten into a few wrecks before, and one of them, when he went disappearing, he wasn't yet healed from. But that's impossible for him to take that tiny plane to where she said he took it to, because even his lawyer and everybody said, you know how many times you'd have to stop the fuel? So there would be a record of him being somewhere. Even
right. And they said any other time he flew to Costa Rica, he flew on commercial airlines because his plane wouldn't make it and he knew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she just kept, it felt like she kept covering her tracks. You know what I mean? Lie after lie after lie. But she never, even news footage of back when her husband first disappeared, she showed no emotion. Like she wasn't upset. Nothing. Like it almost reminded me of when they videotaped that mother who killed her two boys. And she's in front of their tombstone for their birthday and she's dancing, partying, and blowing bubbles. No emotion, not upset at all. Nothing. You know what I mean? That's what it almost reminds me of. Like she's heartless. Like,
well, Jomi, that was the thing. They never really investigated. It's been an open case. They just, because of the Netflix series, they just recently started investigating it again.
Mm-hmm.
But they stopped investigating back in 97, I think. Right. I don't think they went past 97.
And secretly, Joe would get information and he would secretly give it to them. Like Joe was the first, Exotic Joe was the first one to get her diary.
Yeah.
Her journal. And nobody knows how he got it. Nobody knows who gave it to him, but he got it. And he read that around on his YouTube channel and then sent a copy of it to the police.
Right. And they said some of the things that came out in the documentary and on YouTube that they had no choice but to start reinvestigating the case.
And she is infuriated right now because of it. And if you're innocent and you're not guilty of nothing, you won't be as mad as she is right now. Moving on.
And not for nothing, but all of the interaction she has with her current husband, you can tell are fake.
Right. You can also tell he's the
so over the top.
Right. It's all so rehearsed.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like they're on stage the whole
Like
time.
he calls
Mhm.
her the goddess for the big
Mhm.
cats and
He looks
kissy
like
kissy moochy
right.
moochy.
He looks like a little bitch, like
Yeah.
he needs to grow a pair of balls.
Well, and like I said last week, with her, she's the one with all the money. So of course he's going to kiss her ass and do whatever she tells him to do.
But he's got the brains. That man is smart. Like he
Right.
knew have to go after Joe. He knew have to. He's the one that does all the lawsuits and the handles all the lawyers. He's very smart. That man.
So she basically spent $2.5 million going after Exotic Joe for a $1 million settlement.
Copyright settlement, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And he, in the documentary, they talk about how he did that just to piss her off.
Right.
Because if you Google, and Doc said this, if you Google, she was the first one to take a hold of social media and use it to benefit her.
Right.
The
And
first
that
one.
was why Joe.
So right. So when you Google exotic farms, animals, whatever, she's the first one that comes up
Right.
automatically.
Yeah.
And even on her Facebook page, she's huge. I checked it out. I didn't add her, but I checked it out. And it even says in this documentary, she makes tons of money from just Facebook donations alone.
Yeah. And she takes in donations, even though being a millionaire, charging people to go to her park. She requests donations, and then all of the people that work for her
For free.
for free, they're volunteers, and they do. One girl who was probably like 19 said she worked 6 to 7 days a week, 12 hours a
Holidays
day.
too.
Holidays
Christmas,
too.
Thanksgiving, New Year.
The girl was like, "Oh
holidays.
yeah, I'll be here on Christmas." Yep. And it's like they don't get any monetary payback.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that doing like volunteering your time for an hour or two a day. But how do you support yourself if
Mhm.
you're doing 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at a volunteer thing?
Uh-huh.
She doesn't give them a place to live. She even admitted she doesn't know them until they're there for like 5 years.
Right, because they're all the volunteers are categorized by different color shirts.
Yep. Exactly, exactly, Mark. I couldn't imagine
And you're
doing
risking your life. You're risking your life.
working with big cats and walking people. Like I could see, like I said, I could see doing it for a couple of hours a day, like after your job or after school. But if you're doing it for 12 hours a day, you have no time for anything else.
Nope.
Especially like six, because one of them said it was like 6 or 7 days a week, depended on the week.
Mhm.
And they did holidays and
Right. So at this point in the documentary, now that we got Carol Basket involved and this man's of her husband, and that's when it kind of like gets all crazy. It gets a little crazy because it always goes back to Carol Basket. Tony Montana, Scarface. He does not own an exotic zoo. His animals are his personal pets.
right, there is private collection.
He even went after him because he was a known felon, had a huge drug ring, and she wanted Peter and the animal rights groups to go take his animals away because he was a felon. This man is low on the radar. He doesn't want to be out there. But when she went after Joe, and she went after Doc, and she went after him too.
Yep.
That's
And
why
he doesn't show
documentary.
his animals. He doesn't let anybody, like literally it took the Netflix people like 2 weeks to get in there.
Get
And
in
they
there.
had to use Doc to get
Right.
in there just to
Mhm.
meet the guy.
And he has an armed guard at his gate.
Right.
you're not getting in.
If you don't have an appointment, you are not getting in.
Hmm.
So he doesn't make any income off of the, because there is this private collection.
Right,
They're not for profit.
right. All right, so then they kind of start at this point going into Doc's life more. That's when this woman started talking about how she worked for Doc. She was young. She saw an ad online and it said yoga, tigers, and something else, spiritual something. And she was like, I'm in. And her
Yep.
dad, she sold her car, gave up everything, and went there. Her dad drove her there. Her dad saw Doc, and he was enhancing. Like, he's not an ugly man now, but he was much more attractive when he was younger. And her father saw Doc and was like, don't marry your boss.
Yep. Don't fall in love with your boss.
with your
That's
boss,
what he
yeah.
said to her.
And then let her go. She said that it's kind of like a cult there. Like, you are expected to call him king. He is like, Buddha, whatever his name means. Eventually, the longer you work for him, the more he trusts you, and he wants them women. And when you watch the documentary, you know this is true. He wants them women to look a certain way.
Yep.
He pays for boob jobs. He wants them dressed a certain way. He wants them looking a certain way. And they're young women that come in there.
And she even said at some point, he doesn't say it, but you're expected to sleep with him.
To move up the totem pole.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't do it. She didn't sleep with him.
Which is why she doesn't be there anymore.
Right. What else did she say? Basil? Since you have a big opinion about Doc, this is your moment to shine. This is where the asshole of Doc really comes out.
Well, what got me about that part of the documentary where they go into like who Doc is and his lifestyle and these women around him. Well, the first thing that I realized is what a male chauvinist pig is, and then I don't understand the mentality these women have. That I don't understand how people get drawn into cults. But when you look at these women and they're attractive women, and I don't think Doc Antle was good looking, and I don't think he's good looking now. That's different taste, for different women.
And all of his wives, all of his friends are beautiful.
Right. Yeah, they're beautiful women, and they're just following him around, and they get, less than $200 a week is what he's paying these people that work for him to deal with these cats. And they live in shitty conditions, with roaches and piled on top of each other until you start sleeping with him. And
then you get your own house.
Right. And, he starts manipulating these girls because these women are coming to him to be volunteers when they're young teenage girls. He manipulates them to sleep with him, and then it's like, I don't know what it does to him.
It's not even just the women he manipulates, like his son. His son, they asked him, well, is your dad a god? And his dad said, my dad's a god of his own being right here. Yes.
Right. So, yeah, he's like the Pied Piper, though. It's like he blows his whistle and they just follow behind him and do whatever he wants them to do. And it's like,
and when you see him on the tiger, on the elephant, you can tell he's an egotistical bastard.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he sees himself as the highest.
He ain't even got to be on that elephant to see that shit.
Well, he was another one that whenever you watched him with production, he was always like, they caught him in moments where he didn't realize that they were going to put it in there because he was setting the scene up for them.
Right. They said that he was the only one that told them how they were going to do it.
Right. Definitely a control freak. And he did get in trouble and did get accused on numerous occasions, actually, for animal abuse. At one point, he got in trouble for abandoning peacocks and something else at a zoo that he abandoned.
And
He just
they
left the
said
animals
that
there.
when he did the cub petting, that as soon as the cubs outgrew their usefulness, he
Uh-huh.
would kill them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He
if he
wouldn't
could
sell
sell
them,
them, he would kill them.
he would kill them.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, he was accused of having a gas chamber for
Yep.
killing the animals, but he was investigated, and they didn't find any evidence of anything like that. So, you know, that was something that Joe started. I think after he was in prison, he started.
Right.
I
calling
think so
after that.
because I
Yeah.
think
But
he
let's just say something. When Joe got arrested for the same thing, they didn't find nothing either. After he already was arrested, and they went digging into the property more, and they started digging up and finding the bones.
right.
I think it's the same thing for Doc. They didn't really go in looking. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so.
Yeah, he definitely could have gotten rid of whatever evidence before they got in there, because the rumor was circulating for a long time before they went in and actually investigated him.
Right.
But one of my favorite characters out of the thing is his lead zookeeper.
Yeah,
who
that's
was
his.
Eric
That's his
Howell.
partner. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's funny.
Because he seemed to be the one that cared the most for the cats, other than the girl that lost her arm,
Mhm.
which
Right.
I found out in episode 8 actually identifies as a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
And like me and Bashful clarified last week, and you, Doris, I believe, she got hurt because of her own fault.
Right, and she says that she was
wasn't-
in the
It had nothing
wrong.
because at that time the Tigers. She even said it, at that time Joe was still caring for the Tigers properly. Like they still were the priority.
Right.
She did not do what she was supposed to.
Right, and I believe they were moving the tiger or
Mhm.
something, and she
Mhm.
was supposed to use a pole to close the
Mhm.
gate.
Mhm.
And instead of going to get the pole, she used her arm and
Mhm.
had to put her arm
Right.
in the cage.
And like Bassel said, most of that damage to her arm came from the fence.
Right.
It
Because she
wasn't
says
from the
that in the
tiger.
documentary
Yeah.
that the feds, because she said it was all in the episode 8, she said it was literally like 20 seconds
Mhm.
that the tiger had her arm in its mouth. It bit
Right.
her and let go.
Right.
Yeah.
And she also said, now this shows the part of Joe that you didn't get to see a lot of towards the end of the documentary, where Joe was really caring, and Joe, talked to her, came to see her, was in constant contact with her.
Right. She
And
said that he was the first one
Right,
to attend to her.
Right.
when
And
it
anything
happened.
that she needed, he had it. He would get it for her, whatever. She didn't come back as fast as she did, and she didn't speak out as fast as she did because of Joe, even though she did have to write that Joe wasn't responsible, but Joe had to do that. It wasn't that he was being mean and he was caring. Joe had to do that.
Right.
his
And
sanity.
she said that they even used, because apparently they got that on video, her
Mhm.
being bit.
Hmm.
And Joe, with her permission,
Permission.
used that as training material for new
Right.
people coming
People.
in.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the paper she signed, it was so Joe, she would get paid for injuries, but Joe won't financially get hit really hard because
Yeah.
that attack could have destroyed him.
Right. Because she said that she left the hospital a little early
Yep.
because she was concerned
Mm.
about Joe and the
Because the
tiger
news-
in the
right.
zoo.
Right, because the news coverage was so bad, and she was
They
worried
were
about
making them out to
Joe.
blame,
And
and
she was worried that they would make him euthanize the tiger, and it wasn't the tiger's fault. And this tiger that bit her arm off, it was a tiger she raised from a cub.
yep,
You know, like she was there when it was born, and the tiger wasn't aggressive at all. Like they never had problems with this tiger. So she didn't want Joe to be forced to euthanize that tiger. And then the media coverage of Joe was just terrible. And Joe was just taking it because Joe felt bad. Joe
Right.
felt
and
responsible.
I just want to clarify that her arm was actually amputated
Right.
because there
that's
was
what
so
she
much
wanted.
nerve damage.
Right.
They gave her a choice.
Hmm.
She
Yeah,
could,
that was crazy.
right, that she could go through anywhere from 5 to 10 surgeries to get the full use of her hand back, or they could amputate. And she
could
said
amputate.
it was her choice to amputate her
Okay. She
hand.
said, I looked at him and said, take it off.
Right.
She said. And then 5 days after leaving that hospital, she was back.
Yep.
Working.
Because she said that was very important to her to get
Mhm.
back into it as fast as she could.
Right, because still at that time, Joe's mission was to take care of these tigers. To you know, his mission for this whole thing all along was he still had that focus. You know, and she didn't want him to lose it, or again, any tigers be whatever, because of an accident that happened that wasn't her own fault. And the other guy I like,
With
I think
no
it's the same
legs.
guy. No, him too, but the other guy I like was the blonde guy.
That's the one that I like. He's my favorite
He
character.
straight up, like they forced, and I want to clarify this too, because later you get into the documentary, you see this. Everybody that worked for Joe, except for the one with the no legs, was forced to go into the grand jury and testify against Joe. Why they never asked the dude with the no legs, I'll never understand, because he was the closest to Joe, but whatever.
Right, and he was there.
All the time.
He said he went to court every day expecting to get calls. Because he made it a point to say that was the only time he had ever worn pants in decades.
Right. So the blonde guy, he did not want to go. They forced him to go in there and talk against Joe. He didn't want to. He may have thought Joe was an ass, and he may have been angry at Joe at the end of, by the time the zoo was taken from him. But Joe took him in when he was he had no other hope in his life.
And I know this is next week, but in episode 8, he clarifies that the only grudge that he has against Joe is that the tigers that Joe did have to euthanize, he used him to call them in because he worked with the tigers every day and they trusted him. And they would come right up to the fence if they heard his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that was really the only grudge that he had against Joe because he felt like he betrayed the cats by doing that.
Right. Hello, Mike. Welcome. Basil, do you have anything to add?
We really haven't talked much about like Joe's husbands. That's one thing.
Yes, that's the next topic that was up next.
Because there was some crazy things that went on with those.
Oh my God, yes. This is another part. This is what gets crazy, y'all. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does.
It's crazy. Okay, so there's 2 husbands. There is Travis and what's the other one's name?
John.
There's Travis and John. Okay, so John, where to begin with John? All the husbands were young. They're very young, and they all have
drug issues.
Right, and none of the husbands, but this husband he has now is actually gay.
Yep. The other 2 were actually straight.
Right. John was fucking almost every female on that park.
And he actually
And he got one
had
pregnant.
a baby with one of them.
Yes, and was engaged, but the way. Travis was very young. He's a good-looking man, but he had freakishly big hands. That would have turned me off, in my opinion. But they were
Big
freakishly
hands and big
hands.
feet, and that's what turned
Right.
Joe.
Right, and that would turn me off. Like he had Andre the Giant hands. Like it was, yeah, they were freaky. But his face was attractive.
I think he was only 19
Right, he was 19.
Yeah.
He was 19.
when he got with Joe.
Yes. And they said they don't really get into too much with John, except that he would buy John a whole bunch of gifts.
Yeah.
And he was like, John was the muscle man, and he
Right.
looked scary, and he had all these tattoos over him, and Joe loved it when he walked around with no shirt on,
And he's the one that Joe put the zoo in his name when
Right.
Carol went after him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think John took it because he would get the cars, the trucks, the dirt,
Right.
mobiles, the shotguns,
The drugs.
the drugs. I was getting there. The drugs, and when
Right.
you see John, he has meth now. He really does have meth now. And John was the one that when it was legal to sell the Cubs, John would drive the Cubs
Yeah.
where they to go. And it's clear throughout the documentary that even when it wasn't legal, John was still doing that. And then Travis came, and like we said, Travis had big hands, big feet. Besides from them freakishly big things, he wasn't ugly.
No, he wasn't.
But you can also tell from the very beginning when Joe first started putting him on camera that he was a very shy person and that he was depressed. Like you could see it in his face. You know what I mean? And he's 19, and he had drug issues. And
his family had drug issues. His
his
mother
family had drug
definitely.
issues. Right.
Yeah.
And Joe would
Joe-
buy him drugs and guns because
Right.
that's what he was into, was all the guns.
Right. And he would to keep him happy, you know what I mean? And then eventually his addiction got, for any addict, you can spend this much a month, and then the more the addiction grows, the more money you're spending. So I
Right.
think Joe eventually could not afford to keep up with Travis's addiction financially and keep John's addiction. And I truly do think Joe had one too. I think
so.
I think while Travis and John were smoking the weed and doing their meth and drinking, late at night when he was done doing everything, I don't think Joe did it all the time, but I think he dabbled in it too with them occasionally. And they all shared one bed. It wasn't, and then later on, the guy that was filming the documentary, he went into the room and Joe was quickly putting his pants on, and jokingly they said, well, what are you trying to hide, your Prince Albert? And Joe said, oh, you've been talking to John and Travis? They told you? And they're like, whoa, you do? He was like, yes, I have a Prince Albert. And they were asking him a question about it, and Joe was openly talking about it. And I was just like,
Right.
And
The
the-
producer's name, by the way, is Rick Kirkham.
oh my God.
So he was originally a reporter for Inside Edition.
Right, Inside Edition. He set himself on fire. He jumped through the window.
Exactly.
He was crazy.
Yeah, he was crazy.
And he
Right.
saw the Joe Exotic TV as his retirement.
It was going to be a retirement. That man was, okay, we'll get into that. Wait a minute. We can't get into that. Back to the husband. So eventually, John left Joe. Joe was technically the real husband. So they had to, John was the real husband to Joe, and they had to go through the whole divorce thing, and John was crushed. Joe was crushed. But they said what kept Joe going was that he still had Travis.
Right.
So once John left, Travis was the only one. So all the freakish stuff and everything. Mind you, these men are not gay. They're not gay. And Joe is a freak. Joe, he admits it, he's a freak. So if you're not a gay man, and this is how Joe, even in the documentary, he says this. This is how he convinced Travis he was gay. Joe asked him, was he in the male or female, was he bi, whatever. And Travis said no. Joe asked Travis, do you watch porn? He says yes. He says,
Yeah.
which do you enjoy watching? The man with the bigger dick or the smaller dick? Travis said the bigger dick. He said, then you're gay. That's
Yeah.
how
No, he
Joe-
said, then you're not that straight. That's what he said.
Yeah, then you're not that straight. That's how he put
Yeah,
it. You're right.
you're not that
Then
straight.
you're not that straight. That's how Joe convinced Travis he was gay.
Yeah.
Okay? Now listen, I'm a female. Okay? I watch porn. I have no problem saying I prefer a woman with more ass and tits than the itty bitty ones with nothing. Okay? That doesn't make me all the way gay. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. But he convinced
Right.
his 19-year-old that because of that, he was gay. Like I was saying, when John left, there was just Travis. And by this time, I want to say by the time John left, by this time Travis was like 21, 22, maybe 23.
Yeah.
So he got everything from Joe. There wasn't sharing no more. There wasn't a break. And his addiction was getting bigger. And Travis was having these outbursts where he was punching the side of trailers and
And he would point guns at people and
like Joe's campaign manager, which we'll get into later on. Joe's campaign manager, he woke him up by putting a gun to his face and then
Yeah.
laughing and saying he was joking. So that's what he did all the time. He would point guns or whatever. And you could tell that he was quickly digressing, like he was losing control.
Yeah, he's spiraling out of
Where he
control.
was spiraling out of control. And he would constantly go in the office and complain to the campaign manager and anyone that would listen to him. And I partially, and Joe stopped feeding his marijuana addiction, feeding his alcohol addiction, feeding his meth addiction. And I think because by this point, Joe was damn near broke because of Kel. And he couldn't afford to keep up with the level that Travis's addiction had got to, where he could before. I don't think it was so much control, trying to control Travis, as into he really couldn't afford it no more. Because I really don't think Joe wanted Travis to go anywhere.
no.
I don't.
Well, he was at that time. He was spending, money out his ass trying to.
He was
win
trying
an
to
election.
fight Carol, basically.
Well, he
Trying
was
to fight
fighting Carol.
Carol,
He was
running for president.
for president. He was, and he was trying to feed the animals, which he was using Walmart food.
Right.
Expired Walmart food.
Expired Walmart food. Yeah.
So then let's get the sad thing about Travis is that he spiraled out of control so bad that he literally walked into the office behind the camera. So if Joe was watching, because Joe watched that whole park, he knew what was happening throughout that park any time of the day. So Travis stood behind the camera. So if Joe was watching, he couldn't see him. He put the gun to his head and shot himself and killed himself.
Well,
in-
and the campaign manager claims, who was in the room when it happened, claims that he didn't think Travis truly believed that because he had a Ruger and the Ruger did not have a clip in it, that it would not fire.
Yeah, he pointed at the campaign
Right.
manager
He
first.
pointed at the campaign manager, and the campaign manager said to him, Travis, I don't like you pointing guns at me. And Travis said, "Don't worry, brother. It's a Ruger. It won't fire. There's no clip. See?" And he pulled the trigger, and there was a bullet in the chamber, and it fired with no clip in it.
Yeah, the documentary actually caught. You can see the campaign manager sitting there in the chair.
Right. You can actually see
him.
the glow
flash
of the
from the gun.
blast.
Yeah, the flash from the blast. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the gunshot go off. You see the flash. You see him stand up, and like you can see the shock in his like. He said
Right.
at first he thought it was a joke, and
Right, because he says he doesn't think he was,
He was
dead
a
at
prankster.
first.
Right. He said because Travis was such a prankster.
Right. So he stands up and he like just pauses for a half a second, and then he reacts to it. Like he
Well,
realizes.
you want to
this
know what
isn't
I
a joke.
don't. You want to know what I don't understand is that if you look right before Travis shoots himself, that big guy with the flowery Hawaiian shirt
Leaves
he
the
gets-
room.
he's gone. Who? What made him get up and move so fast?
I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. Like I could never. When I
Well,
watched
because
that,
some people have like you have different. Some people would. It's either fight or flight.
Mhm.
So in that situation, that's a traumatic experience to see someone do that and be in close
no, but the
proximity.
big
That
dude. The
so
big
some
dude
people
with the
would
Hawaiian
fly.
shirt
Huh?
ran before
Right, he
Travis
left
shot.
before Travis
Yeah,
shot
he was
himself.
gone. Gone.
But maybe it's because he thought Travis would point the gun at him.
Maybe.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
I
the
get what
thing.
you're
Like,
saying. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
audio on the video,
Yeah,
so
there's
you
no
can't
audio.
hear what they're
Do you
saying.
remember what we're talking about, Basil? Like the big guy with the blue, like Hawaiian.
Yeah. I remember now.
He was
Yeah.
gone. Like,
Right, because there was a third person in the room at first,
mm-hmm.
and he
And-
leaves almost as soon as Travis
and
sits in that
fast too.
chair.
Like he saw something that scared him and he was gone. Like that kind of fast.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
so
probably
for
was
all
just-
we know, that could have been when he pointed the gun at the campaign manager.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Muggsy!
Hello, Muggsy.
Hey, Muggsy.
And that after Travis died, like I get a mourning of a parent, but Travis's mom made me so mad. Like she didn't even feel to me it didn't feel like a mourning mother. It felt like drug
high.
addict trying to get paid. Like you
It was way too high.
yeah.
Like
and
she talked about how Joe made his funeral all about him
mhm.
and then invited him to the wedding of his
You didn't
other
have to
husband.
go.
Right.
And that
And she was
shows
like,
that
it's almost like he used me as a, well, if she's okay with it, then everyone else should be okay with it.
and you
And
were
then I never
invited
heard
to
from him again.
right, and you went to Travis's wedding where you met the first husband. So what is the difference? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it just felt like to me it came across as she wanted money from Joe. That's what it came across to me. It really did. And she just aggravated me. She really
Yeah.
fucking did. She
Because
really
to me,
fucking
it was almost like she made it all about her.
about her. And
Where
she
she
blames her
was
son's
complaining
drug
that Joe
addiction.
made it all
Right.
about him.
And she blames her son's drug addiction on Joe. What did you think he learned it from, bitch? You.
So Mitch Gander, what do you think? You just started watching it.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, don't get me wrong. Joe enabled Travis's and John.
Right, he did.
But it wasn't Joe's fault.
Right, but he also enabled John by buying him the trucks and the
Mhm,
toys and
I agree. He definitely was an enabler. But I can tell you, when you love somebody and you truly
you'll
love
do whatever they want you to
I
do.
would, for 18 years, I was my ex's enabler. I would threaten and I would do say I was going to do a bunch of things and never fall through. And he knew I wasn't going to. He fucking knew it. And I became an enabler. I really did.
Muggsy, tonight's my night to drink. So dilly dilly Muggsy. Dilly
Muggsy,
dilly.
Muggsy.
She's more responsible.
Yeah, she's not gonna stay on panel, take off on us, and go play with her neighbors like you did, bitch. Anyway,
There's this one
Um,
house, Muggsy, in my town. On a different note, it's abandoned, and every time I drive by it, I think of you because I want to go in there so bad and do a video.
well, Doris, he is going to be going to Jackie, who lives in Buffalo, by the 2nd of May. So you guys may
Yeah,
be able
but
to
I'm
meet up
still
to do
like
it.
6 hours away from Buffalo.
Well, you guys closer than you are now. Just saying.
And there's no trespassing signs, Muggy.
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 Muttley. That's what we call him, Muttley. Well, Jimmy calls him. And then he met, what's the new husband's name?
The new husband is, oh, what the hell? It's a weird name.
He is gay. The new husband is gay. He finally has a true gay husband.
Right.
Fuck. But
And
he's
he
gay.
meets him on his campaign after Travis dies.
Right.
He is Dylan Passage.
That's it, Dylan.
Yeah.
So he
And,
met him 2 months after Travis's death.
Everybody in the documentary talks about how much Joe changed after Travis's death.
Right.
That's when
Wow.
he stopped
He
caring
lost-
for the cats, and
Right. He lost focus.
he
Mhm.
brought in what's his
I think-
face.
Right, Jeff. I think Joe, as much as Travis's mom says differently, I truly do believe Joe blamed himself for Travis's death. I do.
Oh yeah, and he definitely loved Travis.
No,
Well,
he
and not only
definitely
that,
loved
but
him.
if you think about it, Joe probably bought the gun that
Right.
Travis killed
Right.
himself with.
Mhm.
Right.
So, out of everybody in this documentary, and this is just my personal opinion, Joe is the least. He's not the biggest monster
No.
of this documentary. He truly isn't. He truly does love and care. Joe also suffers from mental problems. You see it.
Yeah.
You know he does. It's not. He doesn't come right out and say it. But the more you watch the documentary, the more you see he definitely suffers from some mental illness.
And so part of me can see why he became so obsessed with Carol Baskin.
Mhm.
I mean, the woman went after his parents
Right.
and tried taking,
Their
because
home.
when he tried to make a settlement with her, she agreed to it, but then said, but I get to take your parents' house.
And Joe told her to go fuck herself.
Right. And Joe said that's when he was like, absolutely not.
But Joe also did his parents' grind.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff in his parents' name.
Right. He
It
put
helps
almost
him
everything
out.
in his parents'
Mhm.
name.
That's
And
why he's like,
used
"Oh,
his
Dad,
parents.
This is what he's dumb. He's so dumb. Like,
He would
Shut
borrow
up.
money from his parents.
Not
for
just
the
that,
lawsuits.
Kel knew that nothing was in his name because he said it.
Yep.
He
A million
filmed everything.
times.
He would have never thought about going after his parents if he didn't say, nothing's in my name. That trailer's not in my name.
Right.
That thing's not in my name.
Because he even was
cars
like,
are
what
in
do you
my
think?
name.
I'm stupid?
What do you
There's
think I'm
nothing
stupid?
here
Yeah,
that's in my
in
name.
my name.
And he
Who-
kept
So who's the best next person to go
Yeah,
after?
and he
That's-
kept saying, she's never gonna get her $1 million. I don't have anything.
And then what she get? That tour van, the trailer. And
Exactly.
And then after mom and dad, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Huh. That's all.
Muggsy, you gotta watch it.
He's not
gotta.
going. Muggsy's not gonna be able to pay attention to it.
Sit with Jackie and watch it.
I'm not making fun of him. I'm not. Muggsy told me straight up. He wants to watch it. He just knows he won't be able to pay attention to it all.
One of my friends said
Right.
to me, I was gonna start watching it, and so this is a couple that's friends with both me and Jimmy. She was like, Mark made me shut it off as soon as she saw him on the title page all by himself. And he was like, oh no, I am not watching this. I don't know what it's about, but I ain't watching it because it's all about one man.
Mm-hmm.
And I know where it's going.
All right, so Bashar, what else do you want to touch on? You have anything to add about the husbands, and where do you want to go next? We told you the guys there's a lot.
Huh?
I said we won them last week. There's a lot.
There is a lot.
There's a whole lot. Yes, I think we've kind of broke down that after Travis died, you know, that's when Joe kind of lost focus and kind of went crazy, and he kind of upped his game when it came to harassing Carol. And he was also trying to run for president, which was, I think, more of a way to try to like draw people into him and the zoo and stuff like that to get money rather than actually thinking he was going to win. But that's the reason that Carol and Joe and Dr. Antle and all of them had issues. Well, that's the reason everybody had issues with Carol, is because Carol wanted all the money. She wanted to shut
everybody down and be
right. She wanted to be the only one. Exactly. And her moral, like I said last week, like her moral high ground throughout the whole thing was that they were being irresponsible by breeding these animals. And they did crossbreed animals. They bred tigers with lions, and, you know,
the alligator was something else. How they called it.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Mind you, I got up to why Bashar has this up. Well, meanwhile, while Carol Baskin's talking about everybody else's zoo, her tigers are in cages too, mind you.
Yes.
And their heads go through a hole. There's a box outside the cage, and her tigers have to eat through this box and get water from this box.
And they have to stick their head in the box to drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That did not happen in Joe's zoo. That does not happen in Doc's. Nobody else does that with their tigers but her.
Right.
I just want to throw that out there. Another piece of her being a hypocrite.
So to try to bail himself out of the trouble with Miss Carol, Joe hooks up with Jeff Lowe.
Wait, before we get into Jeff Lowe, we're forgetting about the Crocodile House and the studio getting blown.
Right.
That's right before Jeff Lowe. So where Joe filmed a lot of his YouTube videos, his podcast, the producer, what was his name doing?
His name was Rick Kirkham.
Rick Kirkham was filming a documentary. While Joe's filming, he's filming. But he got everything.
Right. And apparently you find out through the documentary that Joe meets with his lawyer because Kirkham tells him that he basically owns Joe and the Joe Exotic TV rights.
Mm-hmm.
And
Joe also, around this time, got proof that Carol Baskin and Kirkland were messaging each other.
Right. And all of a sudden, the Alligator House and the studio where they film and keep all of their camera equipment all of a sudden burns down. And all they have is a very sketchy video of a figure limping away from the scene.
And it looks like Kirkland. I'm not going to lie, because I went back and watched that part yesterday.
Originally, I thought it was Kirkland.
You forgot. Around the time this Alligator House got blown up, Joe was supposedly in Chicago for a funeral.
Right.
He wasn't supposed to be in town.
Right. So originally I thought it was Kirkham. And then I thought it could possibly be Joe, because if you remember at the time, Joe needed a cane to walk.
Right. Now, mind you, everybody, at this point, when the Gator house gets blown up, Carol Baskin had already won her lawsuit against Joe. And
she got 1 point.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 1.4 million or something like that.
They also wanted everything in there, all the film, everything that was on the computer, everything in there was Carol's.
So if you think about it, both Rick Kirkham and Joe had millions to lose.
And they both were going to lose stuff because there's stuff that was on Joe's computer he didn't want no one seeing. He didn't want Carol having it.
And I was fully
with you. That's his lifestyle that he was.
I was fully with you until they played the audio of when Joe met with his lawyer and told his lawyer about his conversation with Kirkham, of when Kirkham told him and showed him the contract that Joe signed that says that Kirkham owns everything. And in that audio, the lawyer says
they both would have. Listen, this is what I think. I don't think Joe talks a lot. Joe's a big talker. I don't think Joe would ever actually kill anybody. I don't think a lot of the threats Joe actually made, he would ever went through himself. I just don't think he has the nerve for that. I think he's just a big shit talker. Kirkland, on the other hand,
I don't know, because you're talking about millions of dollars with her being gone, and him not having Peter up his ass, and him being able to do things the way he wanted to do things and make the money he wanted to. He could have saved himself.
Right. I mean, because if you think about it,
Kirkland invested everything, every last penny that man had, he invested into this project.
But if you think about it, Exotic Joe TV was a thing before Kirkham.
But it was nothing.
It wasn't as much as it was
until Kirkland took it over.
Right.
So, and Kirkland was gonna lose just as much, if not more, if Carol got her hands on that shit.
Right.
Because there was nothing. Kirkland owned Joe.
Right. And that's why I'm kind of like at a toss-up. I think it could be either one of them.
And at this point, that lawsuit says that was hers. And she wanted it. She wanted it. She specifically asked for that shit, her and her husband. So who has more to lose? Joe can always sell a couple of tigers and regain. He was already looking towards the future when he first met Jeff. Kirkland lost everything if Carol Bass got it, because that means that's her gold mine. She can sell that to networks. That would have been enough for her to put Joe down forever. And been even a bigger millionaire than what she is now. You know what I mean? So who actually was going to lose more, and who would have been more desperate?
Right. And that's why I'm kind of at like a crossroads.
Well, I'm saying it could have been Joe, but I don't think Joe, personally, I think Joe would be stupid enough to set that shit on fire and light himself on fire too. I'm just saying, I like the man, but I think he'd be dumb enough to get hurt.
Part of me thinks that the video that he did after the alligator fire, it was very dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Joe is dramatic with everything.
And it was almost too dramatic. Mm-hmm. So my belief is either they were in it together, or
I personally think they were in it together.
Right. Because they both had as much to lose.
If she gets that, you're fucked. And the producer already knew he had nothing. How many times did he say it during the documentary when they interviewed him?
That was his retirement package.
He invested every penny, and
Yep.
he had offers.
He
coming
walked away
to him.
with nothing.
And they didn't just want it to be a one-time thing. They wanted it to be a
Everything.
continuous reality show because they saw a taste of it and they're like, oh my God. Joe, if for nothing else, is pure fucking entertainment.
Right.
That is the type of reality show everybody will turn into because.
And the funny thing is, like, he's one of the people, the producer, Kirkham, is one of the producers, is one of the people that they interview in the last episode.
Mhm.
And he claims that what he found comical was that in reality, Joe was petrified of big cats. And that the two tigers that they show in the documentary in the cage with him, one of them, the white one, is blind. And then the other one was drugged.
Well, most albino cats, even little kittens,
Right.
albino, they're blind.
Regular cats are
So-
blind. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm still kind of at a toss up. I think I would need more.
Just that guy walking away.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it would, it
And,
could
and
be.
if John was still around, I would damn sure say that John would be capable of doing it.
Right.
His husband, but he was already gone. So long gone.
Right. And it was after Travis was dead.
And nobody else walks with a hunch and a limp like that.
Exactly. And that's the thing that makes me think it was one of the two, because
Mhm.
they both had a limp. And they really don't, like, I have a feeling that just from their interviews that Kirkham was a little bit taller than Joe, but they don't really give you enough of the person to be
Mhm.
able to determine how tall they are,
Mhm.
because it's a far away view. So all you really see is it's somebody
what
with a
would
hat
seal the
and a
deal for
limp.
me? You know what would seal the deal for me? If he was walking with a motherfucking cigarette in his hand. Yup, it's you. It's you, motherfucker. Because he always got a cigarette in his
I
hand.
didn't see the cigarette. That probably would have changed my mind if I
He
had
did
seen
have
the
one. I was
cigarette.
looking for the fucking cigarette too. I was like, if this man is smoking a cigarette. I told you I went back and looked last night. I said, this motherfucker got a cigarette in his hand. It's him. Because that man always he chain smoking
Right.
motherfucker.
That's why his teeth are yellow, because he
And
chain
again,
smokes.
his fingers right here.
The coffee and the cigarettes.
But I didn't see a cigarette. I went and looked. I didn't see one. But if he had a cigarette, oh, that was that motherfucker. No denying it. All right, so now we're on to Jeff, Doris, since you're so excited about the Jeff part.
All right.
The snitch bitch, rat bastard Jeff. I continue.
Jeff.
Fuck
the
Jeff.
real
What's
life.
Jeff? Fuck Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another Playboy. Him and Doc will get along really well. I just want to point that out. Continue.
So Jeff Lowe.
Again, I don't know why.
I don't know why neither.
And originally, I thought when they first introduced him, I thought, oh my God, he's a really nice guy. He wants to save the zoo.
Yep.
And then you find out that he's basically a felon with a bunch of old charges and basically misrepresents. He basically plays himself off as a millionaire or a well-off person and basically has no money to his name.
Right. And he's supposed to have been an investor. That's the reason
Right.
he's coming to the
So
zoo.
he's an
to be an
investor
investor.
and slowly starts to take possession of the zoo from Joe and is supposedly like he pays some payments to Carol and he negotiates for Joe with Carol, and come to find out he basically has charges in Vegas because he's basically doing the same thing that Joe was doing and sneaking cubs into hotels for women. Him and his wife have like an open marriage where they invite other women in to have sex with, and they use the cubs to get them in and to make money. And he basically gets charged for that. And we find out that he doesn't have the money that he supposedly has when Joe runs for president and governor and charges it to the zoo. And Jeff freaks out because in Vegas, he gets let off for the tiger cubs in the hotel. He's on probation. Yeah. And they tell him, as long as you don't get in trouble over the next 2 years, you don't have to serve any jail time.
Well, yeah, and the way that Joe was doing the campaign funds and the zoo money, the way he was doing it that way, that it's illegal to do it that way.
Right.
So and Jeff threw a fit about on the documentary was, he had every right to, because what Joe was doing, legit. Got them both. Right, it got them both prison time.
Right. Yeah. And Jeff in the documentary freaks out on Joe and tells him that he basically embezzled money from the zoo for his campaign, and tells him that that's illegal. And because now the zoo is in Jeff's name, that brings Jeff into the embezzlement charge, which is when everything kind of starts unwinding for the feds as far as Joe trying to have Carol Baskin killed. All of the people that worked for Joe said that Jeff basically brought in a lot of his own people, fired Joe's people, or didn't depend on Joe's people. And you see in the documentary that all of a sudden Joe goes into the cage with some of the tigers, and the tigers start biting at Joe. Apparently, some of Jeff's people thought it was funny to put some fish oil on Joe's shoes to attract the cats to Joe's feet. And Joe, as we've said, walks with a cane. So, like, the cats going after his feet kind of made him unstable. And Jeff thought it was funny when Joe called him and told him that they were like putting stuff on his shoes, trying to kill him. And Jeff slowly takes complete control of the zoo away from Joe. And it's actually Joe's right-hand man, Alan Glover,
that
Joe
dude, Alan uses... Glover. I need to speak about Alan Glover for a minute. That dude is scary looking.
Oh, he's a scary motherfucker.
If I was to see him out in the streets, I would avoid him at all costs.
Trust me, I work at a prison and I see someone like him every day.
No.
And they're very intimidating. So basically it's Jeff's guy, Alan, that is supposedly the hitman that Joe uses to take out Carol.
Who's a crackhead, mind you.
Right. He's a crackhead, ex-felon crackhead that God only knows why you would give him
Joe has even
said,
Joe has even said, why would I pay a fucking crackhead to kill somebody? You know what I mean? I think the $3,000 Joe gave him was for something else. I don't
Right.
think.
I almost believe Joe's story. Joe says that Alan gives him a story of having to get away or something like that, but didn't have the money, and it would cost him like $3,000.
Right.
Joe, being the person that he is, sells a tiger cub to raise the $3,000 to give Alan to get away. That's Joe's story.
Right, but Alan says Joe promised him 5,000.
Right. And only came up with 3.
So any person that's going to do something like this, it's not going to leave with $3,000. They're going to want all their money up front.
So Alan claims when Joe gave him the 3,000 instead of the 5,000, he went to South Carolina where he lived instead of going to Florida to kill Carol.
Right. Now, we find this out because here comes the walking, talking Chucky doll, everyone.
Yes. The walking, talking Chucky doll, James Garretson.
Yes. James Garrison comes in because he is friends with Jeff. When Jeff was coming back from Vegas, according to Jeff, him and Chucky talk all the time, every day. On the way back from Vegas, he calls him. Chucky proceeds to confide in him that he is working as an informant for the fish. What's that agency? Fish and something.
Fish and Wildlife.
Fish and Wildlife. Thank you, Bessel.
Yes.
This is why she's my right-hand woman. Why you would tell somebody that we're not fucking supposed to tell anybody is beyond me. But anyways, this man, the walking, talking Chucky, is shady as fuck.
Yes, he is.
One of Joe's workers that we were talking about earlier, he was the zoo's manager from the very beginning. This man sold him a stolen Hummer. Okay?
And James
stolen because there was an open investigation on this Hummer when the guy went to register it.
James Garretson claims that he started working with the feds and the wildlife people
because they had him by the balls because of a fucking, what's the name of that animal?
Llama.
Not llama. No, it wasn't it sounds close to llama.
Oh,
a lemur.
Lemur. Yes, a lemur.
Because he had a lemur in his shop.
Now,
they knew about the stolen Hummer.
Yes. Now, when you talk to the walking, talking Chucky doll and you ask him, he says, wouldn't I be in jail if the Hummer was stolen? Wouldn't they charge me for it? Well, wouldn't they charge you for the stolen credit card scam that you're doing? And what? No, bitch, that's why you're a snitch. They're not going to charge you for nothing. That's the point of being a snitch.
The funny thing is at the end of the documentary when he says, oh, and I'm not done.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
so
other people.
Yeah. Okay, now we're sidetracking because I can't stand this walking. I can't stand snitches. People. I can't stand fucking snitches. Right. So back to the walking, talking Chucky doll.
Sorry.
That's all right. So back to the walking, talking Chucky doll. They found out the hired crackhead hitman did not make it and went home because the snitch got him to talk to him, and then he relayed the messages to who they needed to be relayed to.
Yeah.
Then in the process, Jeff got involved and got
Alan
to talk more. Now, in the beginning of this conversation, Jeff tried really hard not to put words into James's mouth. But by the end of the conversation, he was completing his fucking sentences to make him not sound like a babbling fucking uneducated crackhead. Okay, people. And I don't care where part of the world you're from, what state you're from. 3 felons cannot go against one and not be charged with not one fucking thing unless you're getting a deal out of snitching.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
especially when you're the hitman
The hitman.
that
And
they were
Jeff,
able to
yes,
prove got a
Mhm.
payment.
Yes. And Jeff Lowe is a wanted fugitive in Las Vegas
That got in trouble
and was
for
supposed to stay clean for a year and then got himself
Yep.
in more trouble, so Vegas has more charges for him. How is
Yep.
this man able to talk? Because at this point, it's past the Fish and Wildlife Foundation is actually in the FBI's hands, people.
right,
The
because
FBI.
James even tells him that he worked out a deal for
Mhm.
Jeff. That
Mhm.
if Jeff tells them everything he knows,
Mhm.
that there will be no charges.
Right. And the
Against
walking,
Jeff.
talking Chucky doll, who's supposed to be Joe's friend, who wants nothing to do with none of this and wants Carol Basket dead himself, set up, worked with an undercover agent from the FBI to set up Joe to admit he wanted to hire someone to kill Carol Bassett. Now, when you read everything that went on, the walking, talking Chucky doll knew Joe was crazy and would have been like, okay, let's meet him.
The worst part is, I have to say, is the end of the documentary when they have the walking, talkie Chucky doll on the skidoo or whatever the fuck it was, like he's Tom freaking Cruise.
Oh my God, yes.
Mhm.
Like zooming along with his hair blowing in the like he's the most sexiest man. You're a Chucky doll. You are a Chucky doll.
Okay, so let's get back to the walking, talking Chucky doll and the band of all snitches and felons. So by this time, Jeff and the walking, talking Chucky doll are really trying to get Joe down. So the walking, talking Chucky doll goes to Joe. I found someone to kill Kel. Do you want to meet him? He's one of my guys. Joe, being as stupid as he is, yeah, sure,
Dumbass.
let's meet him. Let's meet him. They meet him. This
And of
is-
course, he's a Fed.
he's a Fed undercover. Joe talks to him. They're like, all right, let's go. They plan the murder. The FBI, the undercover FBI agent was like, I want this much money for it. Joe said, okay. The only reason why Joe got away with it that time is because Joe never produced money.
Yep.
Jeff
Yep.
Lowe said in the documentary that even if Joe was to pull out $5 as a down payment for this undercover agent to kill Carol Basket, he was going to prison.
Yep.
Yep.
So
And he never pulled out a dime.
this is why I say Joe was screwed, because Joe had no chance.
Monica.
Monica, hello. Joe was never
Hey,
really
Monica.
able to tell his side of the story. Meanwhile, you got these three felons all just hammering away at poor Joe, and he's now in the documentary. You clearly hear Jeff Lowe threatening Joe's life.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, Monica, you do hear bashful. She
Yep,
is
Yes,
I'm
here.
here.
that's who's just on camera. So I'm just annoyed because yeah. Okay, so you got Jeff Lowe wanted in Vegas for all this shit. He scams Joe out the park, and then, and this is another thing I don't understand. Maybe you ladies can help me understand this. Why was Joe convicted for the animals in that park when at the time Joe didn't own the park no more?
Because they were able to determine the length of time that the animals had been buried. So
Right.
basically, the age of the bones
I get it. I get it. I'm just being
dated
smart.
back
I'm
to.
thinking. I'm just saying that if Jeff really wanted that park that bad, and he wanted it in his name, and he screwed Joe over, he should take all the responsibility for everything in the park: bones, skeletons, whatever, drugs, whatever else included. You know, I'm just being a smart ass. You know. Okay, continue.
But so Jeff cons the park out of Joe, in my opinion. And
Absolutely.
he teams up with, because in this time we find out that Jeff does not have the money that he claims to have. And once Joe goes to prison, he has to go to Mr. I'm trying
That's
to
fine, Ken. Wow. Okay, go on.
Trying to find it. Where the hell is it?
All right, so everybody, why Doris is looking, next week I'm going to work really hard and not getting a strike for this, but I'm going to, because by then my new laptop should be here, I'm going to try really hard to, when we talk about what happened after the Netflix, I'm going to try really hard to post pictures, share pictures of everybody, so you can put a face to their name, and you have more visual of everybody and everything we're talking about.
So once Jeff scammed the park from Joe and Joe started to have his legal problems, Jeff had to team with Tim Stark.
That's it. Tim Stark. That was his name.
Hear a little bit about during the documentary because he has his own exotic animal collection.
That Carol Basket went after too.
Right.
Yeah, he's another one of those that's in the community.
And he ends up teaming originally with Jeff to reopen the GW Zoo, but in a bigger, better location.
Closer to Texas.
Right. And he soon realizes what Joe realized, and that is that Jeff has no money. Tim Stark basically had to put up all of the money and all of the animals for this park. And it was originally supposed to be a 50-50 deal. And he ended up turning against Jeff when he realized that Jeff was all talk and no show. And as far as I know right now, that park is still...
It's not complete.
Right, it's not complete because Tim Stark walked away from it.
And good old snitch Jeff tried to go with his other snitching partner to get the new park open, and now they are no longer friends either.
Right. And Jeff continues to say that the park will be open someday. But he basically has no money.
Right. And everybody that worked for the GW Zoo for Joe is no longer employed there.
The only one that is my favorite character.
The manager.
The head zookeeper.
Right.
The Motley Crue looking guy.
Right, with the no legs, right? Or the blonde?
No, the one with legs. Eric Cowie.
Yes, the blonde.
Who's the blonde guy.
I think he kept him on just because all the Tigers knew him.
Right. So he is the only one that's still currently working for Jeff.
And I don't know if you touched on this, but when Joe left, well, when Jeff kicked him off the property, all the employees were to tell the guests that were coming that Joe retired.
Right. And they do touch on that in the documentary,
right.
That's what they were told.
Once Joe was no longer on the park and everything was off the park that was Joe's, Jeff made a big meeting with everybody and told all the employees that Joe was going down, that the FBI and everybody was going to take him down. Who tells their employees that?
Right.
And some of these people have been with Joe since he opened the park.
I think it was just to gain their loyalty to him. I think he was. I don't think the documentary went into it, deep enough. But I think that was the whole point.
Because a lot of the employees that were interviewed had said as soon as Jeff came on the scene, that it seemed like Joe was basically letting Jeff run everything.
Right.
And they were no longer in their former positions that Jeff kind of slowly brought in his own people to replace him. And
I think throughout the documentary that you could see, well, that part of the documentary, that Joe was scared of Jeff.
Right. Because he thought he was powerful, which we come to find out that he's really not.
Yay, Dustin's back. Welcome back, Dustin. Okay, so now the snitching, Joe got arrested in a parking lot in Florida. By this time, Joe left, did everything to change to hide his identity, his location, got new phones, everything. And by then they were in Florida.
Part of what I think Joe's downfall was he took some of the more expensive tigers, to try to sell off.
Yeah.
And because if you watch the end of the documentary, they say that the local police started getting calls about exotic cats on this property. And that's what drew their attention and brought them to where Joe was.
Right. Yeah. And he also gave a lot of cubs away.
Right.
Because
at this point, it says that Dylan Passage, who's his current husband, has become known as his accomplice because they had the tigers on their property.
Right. And also, Joe said, like the clubs you see him giving to that woman, selling whatever he did with them. He said he brought them into this world. He helped bring them here. So it was his responsibility to make sure that wherever they went after he left was his responsibility. And I truly do believe at this point he did feel that way. I think he felt guilty for a lot of things. I think everything was piling up on him. I think he started feeling guilty on how he did wind up treating the cats. I think he felt guilty about Travis. I think he lost the park that was supposed to be something for him and his brother. And he got suckered. You know, Jeff suckered him and he fell for it.
And in one of the YouTube videos that I watched of Joe's that was not associated to the documentary, that they touched a little bit on the documentary when he talked about the animal rights activists coming on the property and poisoning the animals. In one of the YouTube videos, first thing in the morning, Joe finds one of his chimpanzees dead. And come to find out it was poisoned.
Right.
And
so how can they determine, well, that's for next week, damn it. I want to get into that yet. Okay, so anyways, so by this point, Joe is on the run. He's gotten rid of a lot of tigers and cubs and bears, oh my. And they catch up to him in Florida. They arrest him. They bring him back. And he's never left. He's in federal prison now. He was found guilty on everything.
Right. He was found guilty on animal neglect charges,
and once
conspiracy to commit murder.
Right. Once Chucky, the walking, talking Chucky doll, and Jeff got, what's his name again? The scary dude? James?
The scary dude was...
Alan.
Once the walking, talking Chucky and Jeff there got Alan to come back and show them that Joe, I don't even know how he proved Joe paid him, but whatever. Joe paid them the $3,000 to kill Carol Bassett.
I think it was because of text messages. I think he had
but in them text messages, did they specifically say this $3,000 to kill Carol Bassett?
I think so.
Oh, shit. Well, anyways. Once the crackhead came back that didn't go kill Carol Baskin and proved that Joe gave him money, that was the nail that sealed the coffin for Joe.
Yes.
And then every other charge that they could think of piled on top of Joe, and now he sits in state prison in Texas at the moment. Well, he's about to be transferred to Texas.
Yes.
Yes. But because of the virus, he's in quarantine and they can't transfer him yet.
And this is the point of the documentary that production loses me.
Right.
Because you have this big trial going on, and
They're focusing on the snitch.
Well, yeah, they focus on the snitch, and I understand that. I don't think they were allowed in the courtroom, but still, we get minute pieces of information about the actual trial itself.
Right. And the only pieces of the trial you get to hear is what Joe tells you over the phone. And that news reporter, the news reporter.
Because as far as I know, Joe never took the stand.
No, he did.
He did. His lawyers advised him not to. And he took the stand anyway.
Yes.
He took the stand.
So, and that's the reason
that I would have wanted to see him.
Right. That's the reason that I wanted to do the third part of this, is because I want to get into the things that the documentary didn't go into. But like, you've been watching the videos, and I've been watching other videos, and Lisa's, so that's really what made me decide to watch it. Is I watched some videos before I ever watched the documentary.
And that's what I said. I started watching YouTube videos of Joe before I started watching the documentary.
We have a new member. Want to give the member a shout out. Thank you for the Redneck Connection. Thank you very much. We love you too.
Thank you.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen that are still watching, this case reminds me so much of the Stephen Avery case, because there's so much that happens after the Netflix documentary. Just so much. I didn't think that there could be so much over freaking exotic animals. And it's like an exotic animal mob families. You know what I mean? Trying to take each other down. And it's it's insane. It's really
right. You would think for the better of the animals that they would all team together and
right. And I think it's insane. It really is insane, people. I can't wait for next week if the computer's here and me and Jimmy can figure it out, and I get permission from either the husband.
Oh, girlfriend, don't depend on Jimmy to figure anything out on a computer.
No, I don't need him to figure out on the computer. The YouTube shit, Jimmy knows. I have to give him credit. That man has helped me more than once understand my analytics and everything. If it wasn't for Jimmy, yes, you have no idea.
Hello, Carrie Ann.
Hello, Carrie Ann.
Hello, Carrie Ann.
So all I can say is look up videos for next week on the Tiger King. I'm going to try to list everybody's names that we talked about today in the description of the video so you can look them up. Even the husband, John. The transformation from John to now, and the story about John after the Netflix series, it's mind-boggling.
It is. Because he's actually on episode 8.
Right, and it's absolutely
him a little bit.
I've seen it before they released because he's been everywhere talking, and it mind boggles me about how even this documentary encouraged the addiction of some of these men. I'm gonna say it because I have to. John right now, Joe's first husband, is clean and is sober and engaged to another woman that has nothing to do with the zoo. The woman got pregnant from the zoo. They still in contact. He still helps take care of their child, but they decided to stay friends. But his mouth is fixed.
Yes.
It doesn't look like it does. He's he just looks so much better now. And like,
But I have to say, and if you guys watch this episode, I want to see if you agree with me. He's on something.
well, usually
On
when
this
people are
episode.
coming off meth,
They're
have
on some type of
yeah, they have to
medication
stay on medication. They usually have to be either on methadone
or
or
Suboxone
Suboxone,
or,
because at that, depending on how long they are, their mind is shot. Like
and
2
if
days.
they're alcoholics, they're on
Right,
lithium
right.
or
So they usually are on something, and then the only problem with those drugs is it replaces the meth. It replaces
exactly. It
the
doesn't
heroin.
take away the
It
addiction,
doesn't
it
take
changes the
like
addiction.
we talked
Exactly.
about this on the round table too. Remember, Basil? We were
Yeah.
talking about this one day. It's that those drugs were in place originally to help wean you off it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like a nicotine patch. There's stages. That's originally what that stuff was for, and that's not how it's worked out.
No.
Even
Now people are on
on
it
that,
for like
right,
lifetime
right.
It's
And
a
type
even
of
if he
things.
is,
maintenance.
but even if he is on that, we all can be in agreement that he looks a hell of a lot better now than what he did
Yeah, he does.
with Joe. And
Uh,
the people that were doing the Netflix, the producers and stuff, made him go through that whole show with no shirt on.
Yeah.
That wasn't by his choice. He wanted that.
right.
I mean, he didn't want that. The producers and directors and everybody of that documentary wanted him to go. And I personally would have been a lot happier seeing him with a fucking shirt on, because I don't
Right.
see the appeal.
Yeah,
That,
me neither.
I'd rather. Jeff Lowe ain't the most attractive, but out of everybody out this fucking show, maybe besides from Travis, he was the most good looking. Just saying. And I don't find Jeff Lowe attractive at all, but we see
No,
it.
I'll agree with that.
We see,
Me too.
he looked clean. You could tell he cared about his appearance.
Right. At least he was
Right.
clean. He
Right.
had some meat on his
Right.
bones.
And he a dog. He a dirty dog. He a scammer. He a liar.
Mm.
Carrie Ann,
but-
we try, man. We try to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we tried. That's all we came up with. We tried. We did work hard. Usually when the round table does a topic, it's usually me and Bashful's idea. And we work really hard on it. I'm not going to lie. Bashful more so than me because I got distractions. But when we do topics.
This one I got
Bashful-
distracted because of work, but
right.
next week I'm going to be on my game.
Yeah, Bashful, I have to admit, ladies and gentlemen, Bashful, when me and her come together and we put our heads together and we do a topic, because it's usually me and Bashful that do it. Bashful's on top of it, and Bashful's usually writing me. We're constantly in communication because this is the stuff that we love. I just need to give Bashful. We need to help Bashful, ladies and gentlemen, because since day one we started this channel, she wants to debate somebody that don't fucking agree with her. So can somebody find somebody to debate this woman so she can get it out of her system? I love you all. Okay. Now, we're going to take a couple second break, and we're going to end our Tiger King discussion until next Friday. However, my brother Jimmy has left the panel, but he's still in chat. Jimmy's really excited about this. You would think he was here when it happened the very first time. But me and Bashful was, and Skeeter, this live stream, more so to me and Bashful, it meant everything to us because it really put our channel out there and it gave us a name. And to this day, this is the live stream we are remembered for.
So this is the educational one.
Yes, this is the educational one. And me and Bashful, I know it's going to sound crazy, but when this was brought to our attention and we were told that it wanted to be done on our channel, me and Bashful were extremely proud of this shit. Like, you would think we got our silver play button from YouTube. So a year ago, it is our infamous anal bleaching stream. You've heard us talk about it. You've heard Skeeter talk about it. A lot of people have talked about it. Tomorrow night, I'm not sure what time. Jimmy has to let me know the time, but I will post it on our community tab. We are re-streaming our anal bleaching stream from a year ago because YouTube finally gave it back to us. This live stream before our sex trivia had the most views and was the most talked about live stream the Roundtable has ever done. And yes, I know the title's funny, and it is a stream about anal bleaching, but it was one of our most entertaining. Me and Basketball were this was our baby. Like we were the proudest of this stream because
Well, I was so excited about it because
we were very excited.
When Joe started talking about, bleaching his anus,
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
his ass pussy. Mm-hmm.
His ass pussy. Well, I want to be pretty like Joe, so I want a pretty butthole.
Right.
So I asked Joe to teach me how to bleach my anus, and that's how it all came about.
So then they decided we were going to bring it to the round table, and then Skeeter heard about it, and he was like, "That's a thing." We said, "That's a thing. That's a thing." I said, "I'm not the thing, Skeeter." He said, "Damn, we've been out of this fucking dating circle for a while." I know. He said, "Well, hot dog, I got to be at this fucking last thing. When are we having it?" And we told him, and sure enough, Skeeter came with bells on, ladies and gentlemen. I am not going to tell you, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you me and Bashful were the most entertaining things during this live stream because we was not. We was not. You are going to hear, because you don't see Bashful, because she wasn't brave enough to show her fucking face that night, but you will hear her dying laughing, you will hear her giggling, snorting, and trying to breathe, okay? Now, prior to this live stream, me and Bashful were very proud. We had questions we were going to ask. We were ready for this. And Bashful got 2 questions out, and I got 1. Out of all the questions we had, okay? The stars of this live stream, without a shadow of a doubt, were Skeeter and Joe.
And Joe, absolutely.
I was going to ask what anal bleaching was, but I thought I would save it for tomorrow.
For tomorrow. And if you guys, Skeeter came prepared, y'all. He was, no lie, he came prepared. And I advise you that before you watch this live stream, we watch it with us tomorrow. You pee, whatever, pads, underwear, depends, put them on.
Should we Google anal bleaching?
No, don't even Google it because it's going to take away the excitement. Because Skeeter,
I'm going to try to find my kit and see if I can still have it.
Right.
You have a kit?
Yes. Because of this live
you have a kit?
Yes.
Yes.
Because let me tell you why Bashful got the kit. Because we were supposed to do another live stream.
Bashful has a kit, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Anyone that's been from the round table from the beginning already knows Bashful has his kit. Talk about it. So we were supposed to come back and do another live stream and make our teacher Joe proud that we actually did what he said. Well, Bashful goes to her penny shopping shit, buys a kit. We goes online and looks up this kit and decides it is in the best interest of her asshole not to use this kit.
It had really bad reviews.
Really bad reviews.
The best interest of your asshole not to use this kit.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, like I was saying, where it depends, be close to the bathroom, whatever. Because if Skeeter does not make you twinkle a little, piss your pants, choke, be able to crying from laughing, I ain't got a sense of humor because this motherfucker is hilarious through the beginning when he jumps on the screen until he leaves us. Okay? He literally made this whole stream.
Bashful? Dave Larson would like to know, seeing how you were the only one with the kit, if there will be a demonstration.
No, I haven't got brave enough to buy another kit. I keep trying to remember.
So did you use the first kit?
No, she didn't.
No, I looked up the reviews, and the reviews were like, it will burn you, it's bad. And Joe told me that it shouldn't burn. So when I read the reviews that it burned, I was like, no, I can't use it.
Now,
but
Dave
I was
Larson,
intending to use it just
now
Dave so I could give a review, but
hold on. Now, Dave Larson, there will not be a demonstration on the anal bleaching. However, tomorrow when we rebroadcast the anal bleaching stream, there is a demonstration on how to give proper oral sex.
Ooh, Dave, that might be something to listen to.
This last thing covers it all. Anal bleaching, proper oral sex, and proper lubrication.
My husband's going to be involved in this, right?
Yes.
I learned so much that night.
And so did poor Skeeter's wife.
I know, poor Skeeter's wife.
And at that moment, our wonderful, beautiful Lauren was still with us every night, and she too had some fucking funny ass moments during this live stream. I miss her so much. I do.
I do miss Lauren very much. Just work just ruins our lives.
So Jimmy, if you're still in chat, can you put the time you want to rebroadcast this stream? We're gonna be doing this live, doing a live stream. So we're gonna play it, and if there's any questions while watching the live stream, unless they're for Skeeter, because don't ask us to try to explain Skeeter because it's kind of scary to get in that fucking man's head. So we don't even try. We will try to answer your questions.
Yeah, we could pause the stream and have.
We can answer questions.
I have a feeling there's going to be
commentary.
A lot of questions.
Right. Well, that night, Doris, I swear to you, there was like 50, 60 people in that chat. And there was people in that chat talking like we ain't never seen them talk before. We were like, and then Joe was like, well, I have to come over here because there seems to be a lot of people over in Lisa's channel with dirty asses. I was like,
well, I remember the first time I was on one of your live streams and you talked about this anal bleaching stream.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, what the hell is that?
It is fucking hilarious because, well, it more so happened to me, Bashful and Lauren. People will ask us because of this live stream about anal bleaching and anal sex, and we're just like,
what makes you think I know of such things?
Yeah, the fucking live streams, and then the ones after this fucking live. Yeah, so I don't think Jimmy's with us in chat no more.
I don't. Do you want me to go poke him? He
is
go
right poke him and ask him. So
I will go poke him.
All
right.
Yes. Kirsty, we told you about this anal bleaching stream. Girl, why you acting surprised?
I will be right back.
Stop that. Oh my God.
Yeah, you act, Kirsty, acting like you've never been to the round table before. Stop it. We're waiting for Jimmy's response. Doris wants to go poke him. Since he left me. A clean ass is a happy ass, Kirsty. Do you love ass bleaching? Have you tried it? Because maybe you need to be up on panel to tell us how you do it and how it came out. Because I haven't been brave enough to try it yet. Yeah, it's Dustin, that damn sure. Well, Dustin was here for the original anal bleaching stream. He was one of us crazy asses. He was in chat. He wasn't on panel. I know, right? Can't cuss over there trying to act innocent. Ain't no innocent about her. Nothing. So if you have a week, if you get offended easily. Yeah.
He was editing his videos, Lisa. I gave him shit.
Did he happen to tell you what time?
I told him he had to write it in the comments because he said to me, whatever time she wants. I'm like, I'm not telling her that. You need to put it in the comments.
He's doing the stream for me. I can't. Don't yell at me, Jimmy. I can't take the time. You're the one doing the stream for me. So I have to be present when you need me present. I'm trying to be a nice little sister. And this is the
Make a decision. Tell him, Lisa. Make a damn decision.
You asked me to be early tonight. I was early. Tell me time. All hail Jimmy. All hail Jimmy.
I need to know what time for sure.
Yes, I don't even know what time too. We got things. Some of us have.
They got things to do, Jimmy.
Things to do, places to go. I ain't got no one to do. But hey, asshole. Check.
9 p.m. He said.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. our time.
So that would be 10 p.m. my time.
No.
No, 11 p.m. my time.
No, it would be earlier than that if it's
It'll be
nighttime.
8 p.m. my time.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't
Right,
know.
because we've gotten to daylight savings time. So now we're 3 hours ahead of
What,
you.
what time would you be able to make it, Bashful? Shamia. Smiley Bonton is my best friend from back home, Shamia.
I'm thinking I'll probably be home by probably 10:30. Probably. I'll probably
Alright,
leave.
so
Yeah, probably about
even if you
10:30.
gotta,
And he said, no, 10 is good.
so that'll be 9 o'clock my time. 9 o'clock your time, because we're on the same time, right, Bashful?
Yeah, we're on the same time right now.
So we
so-
need to go at 10 o'clock their time, Jimmy. They're 3 hours behind
11 it
us.
is. 11 it is. Jimmy said 11 it is. Okay, so
Are we
we'll be-
3 hours behind you?
Because
No, I'm
we moved our clocks ahead an hour.
So we moved ours too.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
is it 2 o'clock for you right now, Doris?
Yes, it's 1:58.
Yeah. So it's it's 1 o'clock for me. So they're an hour ahead of us, Bashful.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
So
So
very
yeah.
perfect. And then I'll try, I'm gonna talk to Skeeter and see how he's feeling and see if he can't rejoin us. I want to be able to breathe.
So Jimmy said 11 o'clock your time.
Okay. Yeah, because you're an hour ahead of us, Shamia.
And I'm
gonna be-
off tomorrow, so
Oh,
I'll
good.
definitely be
I'm
Oh, I
home.
was
good
getting
with it.
nervous. I was like, fuck. That's when I looked up at the clock. I was thinking it that late, and I was like, fuck, it's 2 o'clock in the morning for her. She's up. Jimmy's going to kill me.
that's why I'm still dilly-dillying.
Dilly
Hello,
dilly.
Teletubby. Okay, so tomorrow night, like I said, the rebroadcast of our anal bleaching stream. Next Friday is the last part of the Tiger King for us. Next week, we're going to be talking about what happened after the Netflix documentary. Yeah. And that's when anybody that next Friday, anybody that has watched the Tiger King or has watched the documentary and has paid attention is more than welcome to join us on panel.
And
we're
if
gonna-
anybody has any topics they would like to talk about, would like to come up on panel and talk about them,
right.
give us your ideals. Let us do a little research so we know what we're talking about. We'll
Right.
have a stream.
And I'm going to be posting something on our community tab tomorrow for our members. It's just going to be posted for the members to see. And there's no offense to everybody else that watches us, but our members are paying a subscription to be a part of our channel every month, so they get extra perks.
Yeah, boy.
So I'm going to be posting on the members community tab what they want from us, because at this point we don't know what to give our members. So who else better to get ideas but from our members? So
Right.
I'm going to be asking members what they would like to see from us privately for them as their perks. And me and Gaffa are going to get together sometime this week to finish designing our personal emojis. Right now we just have one, but me and Gaffa is getting together to work on the rest of the emojis. And then the round table will get together and we will make up some perks also for our members. And then you, the members, will tell us what you would like to see.
So even if it's bashful in the bathtub?
Even if it's bathroom. She won't be naked, YouTube. She's going to be in a bathing suit.
I'm going to be in a bathing suit.
Bashful
so-
in the bathtub,
Yes.
people.
So for
The reason
the
to
first-
join.
Right. So me and Bass will discuss this today. And because Bassful's bathtub is so very popular on the round table.
And you never know what's going to be in
Everybody is
there.
curious.
I've come to find out.
And everybody is so curious about Basil's bathtub and what she puts in it. Basil is going to do a members only live stream where she shows you what she puts in her bathtub, how she gets the bathtub prepped, whatever. And with a bathing suit on, ladies and gentlemen, she will be in the bathtub.
And no, you don't have to buy members only gear. If you have it, you're welcome to wear it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that stream is only for members. Basil in her bathtub. Sorry, all you other people that want to see what goes in Basil's bathtub, but that is for members only. That will be a members only.
So,
live
Jimmy,
stream.
you could log on to my YouTube thing to see Bashful in the bathtub.
Well, when we see you, we see Jimmy. So it's kind of both ways.
Not no more. We're in separate rooms now.
So yes. So one of the perks for members is oh my God, shut up, Dustin.
I can't see the chat.
Dustin said, Bachelor, you would make so much more money on Pornhub. She's gonna have clothes, Dustin.
But the laugh alone.
Yeah, so
I have to admit, the laugh alone.
Dustin, you were part of the round table too. You look at him get your sexy ass in the bathtub, baby.
You even got Lisa pointing her finger, shaking her head.
Dustin, let's have bath time. I used to
It's
have bath
like
time
going New
with my
York
friend all
on
the
you,
time.
Dustin.
So yes, that's one of the things we agreed on is that that's what we'll be doing and showing her famous bathtub.
We'll have to figure something else out to like entertain the masses.
Right. I'm going to. One of my other ideas, and I have to talk to our brother Skeeter, is everyone knows Skeeter is a stand-up comedian. And Skeeter has wanted to practice his stand-up comedy, but because of this virus, he clearly can't perform right now. So he wanted to perform a stand-up show on YouTube on a live stream and have the Roundtable family on panel with him and then you all in chat. So my idea for Skeeter was him do it for the members for a members only stream with chat, us on panel with him and him doing him practicing some of his new stand-up bits. Also, Skeeter, we have some friends that do paranormal stuff. I know a lot of people on the round table isn't really into the paranormal, but there is a lot of people that are. Twin has offered to do some of her Wiccan stuff, show her prayers and what she does for members. So there's a lot. There's a lot that has already been offered and some more stuff that we have to work on for our members. But it's all coming together. It's all coming together.
It's cool that you actually got a game plan together.
Right. We just haven't figured out what Jimmy can offer yet.
I haven't figured out what Jimmy has to offer after 20 years. Good luck.
Let's see.
Although he's good with, Han, this is broken. Can you fix it?
And he's the man of the house. What the fuck,
He's
Jimmy?
good with that.
Or, son, I don't know what this is. Do you know where it is? It's right there. No, it's not. I looked. And then they make you get up. And it's right where you fucking said
He's
it was.
really good at that one.
Yeah, all men are. All men are.
All men. And they start so early on in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're little boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, I'm going to put it on the members community tab. And you guys can start listening in the comments what you would like for the roundtable to see. I know a lot of our old members of the roundtable that's been with us since the very beginning misses our old content. And I promise you, we are getting back there. Life has just hit a lot of us hard and has slowed us down on the roundtable. So we can't do like we used to. You know, like when we first started doing all this on the roundtable, we were doing 7-8 hour streams every night.
Right.
And that's, with the baby getting bigger and both kids in school and stuff, that is not possible for me anymore. And a lot of us work and have jobs now, and we kind of got our shit together a little since we started.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
No.
And Showgaz is Darren, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darren?
Dustin.
Dustin, that's the one joke I tell Jimmy. That's why I got married. He says he got married for someone to clean his house and do his laundry and cook. And I say I got married to have someone to go, it's broken, fix it.
Shit. It doesn't sound right. Fix it. I know I can fix things. I've been doing it for 2 years.
Right, I can fix it myself, but
I don't want to have
it.
to.
Right.
And there's nothing that me and Bass were talking about on the round table with you, Dustin. There's nothing sexier in a man than watching them fix your car, change the oil.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, get a little greasy.
I've had to have Jimmy on the phone talking me through how to change out a battery on my car because he was at work and couldn't change it.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a little bit of a blessing thing too, Dustin. It's just a little for some.
If I gotta wash his dirty laundry, he gotta fix my broken stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
He gotta fix the broken plumbing. I mean, yeah, her stuff. Jimmy's so misunderstood. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh yeah, Dave.
So misunderstood. He looks like the dispatcher from Taxi. What's his name?
He looks like a garbage pail kid. You remember the garbage pail kid cards?
Me and Basil had a conversation about him on the round table too.
But I love him with all my heart.
Oh, poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
Oh.
You guys realize I will never be allowed up here again.
We're gonna, yeah. He's gonna say we're bad influences on you.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to watch Bass in the bathtub. So now, if we can't have doors, you can't have Bass in the bathtub. So now.
Oh.
No, I gotta go back there. Round table calendar. Yeah, something like that, Ken. Round table calendar. And you know, with the membership bar, this is really like a job now.
Yeah.
A fun job, though. A fun job, because I can't go to my regular job and talk about the things we talk about in the round table.
Right?
So it's a fun job. Welcome back, Max.
Max, you missed a lot.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yes, I find it very attractive when a man cooks in the kitchen, too. I do.
Exactly. Like, I get home and Jimmy will be like, there's nothing I can cook. But then the very next night, he'll make like a 3-star meal. And it's like, really? But you just said there was nothing you could cook.
He was just lazy.
Exactly.
You didn't miss much, Max. We were talking about how tomorrow night we'll be broadcasting a bleaching stream. And how I'm gonna put up on the community tab for members only, suggesting what members would like to see from us for their perk. And Basil is gonna do a members only live stream because Max, you're new, so welcome to the round table, by the way. But this is something that is very popular on the round table, and that is Basil's bathtub. Because of what Basil bathes in.
It sounds so funny.
It is funny.
It's normal.
Listen, I'm going to send you that fucking live stream.
Bashful, I do not go out and buy condiments for my bathtub.
Listen, no, Doris, you had to be here. Thank you, Ken, for the $2 super chat. We love you too. Listen, Doris, I'm going to send you the link to the live stream. It was me, her, and Skeeter on panel. And this is the night we first was introduced to Bashful and her bathtub antics. Now you have to know Skeeter like we know him. It is very, very hard to make that man speechless. And Bashful did it that night. For a brief 2 minutes, fucking Skeeter was speechless. We were talking about that, and she brought up fucking bathing in charcoal, and it was fucking. I have to send it to you. And then she said something about bathing in coffee. So me and Skeeter looked at one another, and then out of nowhere, at the same time, me and Skeeter start singing the Folger song. You know what I mean? She got upset. Oh, Dave and Folger. It was Starbucks French vanilla. Me and Skeeter like, well, excuse me. And then this is the first time I ever made Skeeter laugh. I'm so proud of myself. I said, well, excuse us, you fucking Starbucks coffee. It's not our fault. How was we supposed to know you have a bougie cooter? How are we supposed to know that? Over there with a bougie ass cooter. It's Starbucks. Yeah, it's so fucking funny. I'll send you the link to us.
You'll have to send me the link.
That was another night I was fucking dying. Because from that moment on, Skeeter has not. That's the night she got Bashful. How the fuck? Whatever. It was a long thing. And he was like, Bashful, it was like Baskin Robbins. It's got 32 flavors. She got charcoal cooler that night. What the fuck else you get?
Well, Max, I strongly suggest you get caught up by next week, because next week we're off of the Netflix thing and into after Netflix.
Right. And Max, at the end of this live stream, I'm gonna gather everybody's name that was in the documentary, and I'm gonna put it in the description so you can look them up individually and find out information about them after the Netflix series ended, because that's what we're covering next week.
Yeah, and you can find interviews from Dylan, his husband now, and John, his ex-husband, and like an actual juror member.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different videos out there with
Travis, his husband that committed suicide. His mom's been talking a lot too. So this stuff.
Yeah.
And Joe himself, before he got put in isolation, because of the virus, he himself, I don't know how this is possible, but he was very active on his Twitter.
Supposedly, from what I heard, are from some of his fans that are keeping his YouTube and Facebook pages going. They're in communication with him, letting him know like what some of his fans are saying, and he's able to respond through them.
His Twitter page is absolutely fire.
Right. Like and apparently, like he's responding through these people that are running the pages.
Right. And so I'll link his Twitter page. He has an Instagram and he has a Facebook. I will link them in the description of this video. I will link the video that Jimmy played a clip of for us, his music video about Carol Bassett. I will link his YouTube page. Yeah. And everybody that was in the document. Now, like I said, next week, I'm hoping to have the new computer by then. And I'm hoping to be able to actually show some clips. I'm going to try to contact Joe's husband or whoever that's running Joe's stuff right now and ask permission to show some of clips from his YouTube page, especially the part where he reads Carol Bassett's journal, because I just find that shit fucking hilarious. I want to play some of his music videos, and I want to be able to show, I'm not so much worried about showing everybody else's pictures, but Joe's, because the biggest names out of this Netflix thing is Joe and Carol. I'm not too worried about the snitches, because they can suck a dick.
And the funny thing is, like, it's not connected to Joe Exotic, but there's this page that I watch that's like paranormal activity, and they were trying to hook up with Carol's second husband,
Mm-hmm.
the one that died.
Mhm.
And they were on the road that leads to the big cat
Mm-hmm.
rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically recorded and booted off the road that even leads to it. It's a public road.
Oh
And they
wow.
were told that they had to leave.
Yeah, well, Carol Bassett isn't extremely happy. I think she would have been happy if she was made to look like the saint that she thought she was going
And
to
she
be.
wasn't. Yeah.
And she wasn't, because she just isn't. Like, I don't care how many flowers she puts around her head. She's just not. And I personally don't think she killed her husband, but I think she had a hand in it. And I think she definitely knows what happened. And she's just not. And she's mad because they reopened that investigation. To her,
Yeah,
that
she is.
have her offering a reward. And I think she thought because she
Exactly, Ken. Like the road is blocked off, but even
Mhm.
when the channel that I was watching, before they even got to the road block signs, they had on their camera people watching them
Mhm.
from like golf carts.
Mhm.
And then they showed the footage of the people approaching them and then telling them that they had to leave, that the whole road was blocked off.
Yeah, and
Even
don't get
though
me
it's a public road, supposedly.
don't get me wrong. I don't think Joe is an angel. I think he did neglect his animals. I think at the end he was very neglectful, and I don't think he did what he should have for his park or for his animals. But I also don't think he deserves what he's having right now, and especially how it all went down. You know what I mean? We live in a country where they want us to believe in our justice system and believe that it helps you in the right ways, and it's not always true. And I do believe in this case, um, it wasn't handled correctly in Carol's husband's disappearance or in Joe's case. You know what I mean? You have three felons. You know, they are con artists. They all three of them are proven to be con artists. They all run in the same circle. And they all went after Joe and gave them Joe to help get them out of the trouble they were in. And I think if somebody looked deep enough, you would see that it wasn't the walking, talking Chucky wasn't just doing it to be a good Samaritan, like you said. No. And there's more into this for Jeff Lowe.
Yeah.
And there's definitely that, you know, I don't know. I think because that scary dude didn't actually make it to where Carol Basket lived, that's the only reason why he wasn't even charged with anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. This the whole situation is fucked up to me.
That's the one thing that's funny about this documentary is part of it you'll have your head in one area, and then in the second part you completely change your whole like what you believe.
And I said this last week, and I will say it again today. The one that's gonna walk away with nothing, no charges, no nothing, is going to be Doc. It's going to be Doc because, okay, Carrie Ann, thank you.
Bye, Carrie Ann.
He is very smart and he is very clever. And yeah, he's going to walk away. If anybody else gets charged with anything, it's not going to be Doc. It's not. I don't think it's one bit. And it's funny because he's probably one of the biggest crooks and con artists. And
right.
The one probably doing the most shit out of everybody. But he is.
Well, that's usually who gets away with this, the big dog, because they've got their money in other people's pockets, so they get away with shit.
And except for Carol Basket, everybody in this exotic chain, except for Carol Basket, looks up to Doc, owes to Doc, has bought cats from Doc, will go to Doc for suggestions and his opinion,
advice, yeah.
advice, you know. So he he is the king. It's not Joe Exotic, in my opinion, that is the Tiger King. It is Doc, because he is truly, and I hate saying it because of his ego and the type of man he is, but
in a way, I agree. He's the only one other than Carol Baskin who really sees himself on top of the whole big cat.
And again, and what Carol Baskin and Doc has in common is that the more money you have, the more people listen.
Exactly.
And they have the most money out of that industry to make shit happen, to make people shut up, to make people do what they want.
Right.
And then she got the money.
As far as I could take from the documentary, and I could be wrong, people could disagree, I never saw Joe as wanting to profit off of the whole entire zoo thing. I saw him as just wanting to be able to live and take care of the animals that he had in his care.
I don't profit, maybe not, but I think Joe did enjoy the attention. I think
he definitely wanted to become somewhat of a superstar.
I think, like they said in the documentary, Joe couldn't be who he wanted to be anywhere else. And in his zoo, he was the king. He controlled everything. And his persona, now he was looked at. That was his show. That was his stage.
I mean, because they even said that in the documentary. And his whole persona was attached to the zoo.
That's true. But do I think it was all about profit with him? No. Do I think he wanted reality TV? Yes, I do. I do think he wanted to be a reality star. Do I necessarily think that had to do with profit? Not so much for Joe, but for his husbands. Because what I took out of the documentary is Joe bought people's love.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
His first two husbands weren't gay. They didn't really love him. He bought their love. That's what he did, whether it be the guns, the cars, the Jeep, the drugs. He bought their love. That's what he did. Where with Dylan now, I don't think he bought Dylan love.
Right. I think Dylan genuinely
loves Joe. I think that. Because if he didn't, when Joe had nothing and lost everything and they were on the run, anybody would have been gone. He stayed, and he's still there with him.
Gamer.
Hello, Gamer. But
Hello, Gamer.
I think that Joe wanted the money to buy people. You know what I mean? Kind of like Doc and Carol. I think he wanted to feel that power that Carol had and be able to fight. Mainly, I think the money was to be able to go at it with Carol and be able to go at it with her and be able to afford it. You know what I mean? But for his own for himself, no.
Right.
He just wanted the attention. He wanted to feel, and I think in his zoo and on his he was able to feel proud to be gay. He was able to feel proud of who he was.
Right, that was the one time that he was able to open up.
Nobody
and he took pride that he was the gay cowboy zookeeper.
Right. And that's another thing that pissed me off about the walking, talking Chucky doll. He would put jabs in to Joe. Oh, he's the tiger king. You know what I mean? The little thing that pisses me off. People like that, I want to punch in their fucking mouth. Like, disrespectful. Like, you over here looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy or the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Shut the fuck up, no neck having motherfucker.
Good night, Seth.
Good night, Seth.
Good night, Seth. I head that way too pretty soon. I gotta get up in the morning and do some shit.
Yeah,
do
I'm
some shit.
Too.
I know.
Do some shit.
Yeah, I gotta do some shit too, like mop my floors. I did everything else. I just gotta mop now.
I'm saving that for tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all day Sunday.
And I gotta fold laundry because that never ends either.
Yep. I'm gonna go to the laundromat on Saturday, and then Sunday I'm gonna save my house cleaning because it's supposed to rain all day.
Okay. So we will see everybody back here at the round table tomorrow at 11 o'clock our time. For the rebroadcast of the anal bleaching stream.
which I'm very excited for.
I'm very excited for it. This is me and Bashful's baby. So again, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, roundtable. We're going to rebroadcast live the anal bleaching stream. Thank you to everybody that joined us and participated in the Tiger King Part 2. Don't forget, we'll be back here early next Friday for the final Tiger King live stream, and that discusses the stuff out after the Netflix and open discussion, whoever wants to join us.
Gamer number 1, you have to become a member for the Fishy Lingerie. Number 2, we've been on live for 3 hours. So you're late, we're not early.
Right. So thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11 o'clock for the anal bleaching stream, gamer.
Night.
Gamer.
Anal bleaching. I said anal. That's your favorite word, gamer. Anal. Anal bleaching. And I love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for our new members. We love you. Bye.
Good night.